Think about this. I'm about to get deep on you.
Oh shit. Let's hear it.
Not deep inside of you though. Just deep.
Bro, we ain't into that here.
How many ships never sailed because they believed the earth was flat?
I got love for the game. Bring it back to the golden age where the fresh beats knocked down. Whatever happened to real hip hop? Love for the game.
Fucking we've met a couple times. Yesterday was the second time we've officially met, but I told you the first time I even heard the name Bridget Rogers.
Yep.
Earlier this year, I'm on a coaching call with a guy who apparently used to be one of your clients as well.
Yep.
Because I'm a dating coach and you're a fitness coach.
Yep.
And so I was on a coaching call with this guy and I was helping him brainstorm ideas for how to move his business online and what niche he really wanted to niche down into. And he was like, man, I don't know. And I was like, well, who do you follow? What other influencers other than me do you follow? Maybe we can look to them for examples and just see what you're interested in. And he's like, well, I follow this guy named Bridget Rogers. Have you ever heard of him? So I was like, I was literally sitting in this chair. It was a different spot in this exact room. And I was like, all right, let me look at Bridget Rogers. And I was like, oh yeah, this guy's crushing it. He has like all these followers. And yeah, man, he has an online business. His business runs very similar to mine. He'd be a perfect person to almost always also take as another example of like who to model in this space if you want to create a business. And so shortly after that, we have friends of friends that I didn't know about, and you moved to Scottsdale, which is where these are my roots, man, where I got my game. And
Yep.
Through mutual friends, now we're connected, and here you are on the podcast.
Dude, 100%, man. Thank you for having me on, bro.
Of
Pumped.
course.
First podcast ever. It's going to be good.
This is your first podcast ever.
first podcast ever. We're going to get straight into it. We're going
And
to keep it
you're-
raw, real.
Keep it raw. In your 50 years of experience, this is your first podcast ever. I feel honored.
Dude, I've been waiting years. Listen, I've been waiting years. Years to reveal my secrets. Now we're going to do it. Listen, we're going to do it. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be simply incredible.
Nice. So, yeah, man, I think what is going to blow a lot of people's minds if they're listening to this right now, they're going to go, yeah, Bridger's crushing it online. He's ripped or whatever. He's probably, in his 20s, 30s, has a degree. Let's blow these guys' minds real quick. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah,
First podcast ever.
Dude, yeah. So, well, first off, you should know I'm definitely not 20 or 30. I'm actually 19. I turned 20 in September. But, the thing about success is it doesn't matter how old you are, right? The marketplace doesn't care how old you are. It cares what value you can bring to it, and it cares how long you've been there. And so I've been, studying internet marketing, and, I first ran into Ty Lopez, Greg O'Gallagher in 2015 when I was 14, started studying their stuff. I really started to kind of get into that and starting my Instagram right after overcoming a huge, severe illness I had that really left me bedridden for 18 months and 3 semesters out of school. So that's a pretty crazy experience that I had. And we ended up, after dropping out of school, we ended up figuring out that I had Lyme disease. As most of you know, Justin Bieber had that on his podcast.
That disease is no joke.
It's no joke. And you get it just from, mosquitoes, spiders. And so I actually remember when I was younger, my mom thinks she remembers the exact time that I got it, which was I got this like spider bite and I was like Spider-Man, bro. It like blew up. It was like all discolored and stuff.
So that was where the Lyme disease came from, was that spider?
Yeah.
So what people who are listening to this right now don't know is like, you told me the full story in detail yesterday when we went to lunch or coffee together, and we got to know each other's stories pretty well. And I think that what you just did now is kind of like the broad strokes overview. I think it'd be interesting to go deeper because literally we were filming a podcast for my other channel right before you got here, and we kind of came to the conclusion that I've always had a chip on my shoulder, and it was the same story as like why I had it, the same story that I told you yesterday. Like that's a lot of the reason why. And so why don't we go into like more detail? Tell us about like where you started, because this leads to you eventually becoming a high schooler who's now working with your dream fucking celebrity influencer, and you're getting shout outs on the internet, and all your people in your small town in Idaho were doubting you. But it's really just started with this kid who wanted to get better at basketball, which is kind of funny because that's not at all where the story ends. So let's start at the fucking beginning. I want to see where the chip on the shoulder started.
Yeah, 100%. So the chip on the shoulder started, I'm a small town kid from Idaho, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And, it really started where I was homeschooled for the first 10 years of my life. I live out in the middle of nowhere, 20, 30 minutes from any town where I can get groceries or whatever. I'm literally got, animals and the wilderness as my backyard. I'm homeschooled, I'm there every day. And so they have these homeschool co-ops for kids that are homeschooled so that they learn social skills. So once a week, it's kind of like you have a real school to go to, right? And so that's where it kind of started. Is I was going to this homeschool co-op, started in middle school, and started getting in this friend group. And right at lunch, we'd go play basketball. And when we played basketball, I'd never really played basketball before. And so everyone else had been playing since they were little kids. And so I was the worst player on, the teams during lunch. And it sucked because I'm very competitive. I love to compete. I love to win. And when you're the worst player, it's kind of like that classic movie, right? So you see, the kid getting picked last, getting picked on, stuff like that. So that was me. I had that chip on my shoulder. I wasn't the best. I wasn't somebody that was looked up to or respected or admired. And so immediately that put a fire in me to get better. And so I started searching for a way on YouTube to get better, right? And so I started Googling different basketball drills, and I start training on my free time with a ball. I get a ball. I start practicing, start training. And then sure enough, I saved up some money working for my dad outside, splitting firewood or whatever. And I invested in my first online program, which was, I believe it was Elite Guard Training.
Yeah.
And so
did we ever remember the name?
Taylor, his name's Taylor.
It was the same dude. Yeah.
It's the same dude, huh?
Yeah. Cause, literally if we go back, this is what, 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
5-6 years ago, that was kind of when I got into online marketing too. And it was ironic that me and him both realized that our first exposure to someone having an online business where they give advice as a coach was when we both actually got on this guy's basketball program.
Dude, that's mad funny, bro.
At the same time.
Yeah, dude, he was crushing it. He was probably doing a couple mil, 100% back then. He was crushing it. So I remember I spent the last of my money, like it was like $297 or $497, one of the two. Bought this program, and sure enough, I started training, started doing these drills, and then boom, sure enough, a couple weeks go by, a month goes by, I'm one of the best players on the team. It took probably a couple months before I was the best.
Because you had a coach.
Because I had a coach, and I had this training, this specialized knowledge where I could take this and actually train my skills. And so that's when I realized that a coach knowledge can really impact and transform your life. And so that's when I realized, at a young age, that personal development and investing in yourself has massive, basically rewards later down the line. And so then that led to basically, I want to go to the next level. So once I became the best in my homeschool group, I was like, you know what? I want to go to public school for the first time.
Yeah.
As a sophomore, I came in. I was like, you know what? I want to go on the JV basketball team.
So you were homeschooled most of your life then?
Until sophomore year of high school.
Do you think that on any level, this is kind of like a side tangent, but we'll come back. Do you think on any level being homeschooled has affected your mentality or even confidence as a kid, your social skills? How do you think that affected you?
Dude, I think that homeschool affected me incredibly. So a couple things that it did do, right? So homeschool is unlike the public school system. The public school system, it's almost like a 9-to-5 job. You go in and you go to school from 7:30 till 3, right? So for me, I could set my own hours as a young kid. I could wake up when I wanted to. I could, as long as I got my day's schoolwork done throughout the day, I could go play, do whatever. So it motivated me to learn how to work smarter and work faster, because it wasn't necessarily a certain amount of time I had to put in. It was the result that I was getting after. So that taught me at a young age that if I can learn how to work smarter and, work harder, that'll have rewards for the type of lifestyle or life that I can live.
Yeah. And it actually gets you more time to do the things that you wanted.
Dude, 100%. And so that's why I think that entrepreneurship in the online business really appeals to me, because that's what I've always known since I was like, 3, 4, 5 years old.
Okay. So take us back to the high school. You got the skills, you got the program, and you started improving, and now you're trying to get on the team.
Dude, I'm trying to get on the team. That summer, so I got this program February of 2015. And I started training, and I became, the best by the end of the school year, May or whatever. And I was like, you know what? We're going to go to the next level, the JV team. So I started training all summer. I committed that summer to becoming the best basketball player I could. I trained 5-6 days a week, 3, 4, 5 hours at a time. I spent all day training, dribbling drills, hitting the workouts. And so as soon as I got to high school, I learned the power in you have to kind of win friends and influence people. And so I knew the guys that were on the JV team for Lake City High School, and I started to get to know them, build friendships with them at this community center called the Croc Center, right? And so this is one of the most unfortunate things that could have happened, but I think it was also good, is that a week before tryouts, I trained my ass off. I was working, so hard on this. And by the time I got into school, I was waking up at 5:30, catching the bus at 6:30, getting to school at 7:30, going to school until 3, catching the bus to the gym to train. So I trained from 3:30 to 6:30. My mom would pick me up. I get home at 7. I do homework from 7 to 10, and then I go to bed, or anywhere from 10 to 11. And I was getting, not the amount of sleep that I should have been at that age. And so it burned me out. And so I think that I got sick because I weakened my immune system. I got sick right before tryout. So I'm not kidding. I got the worst sickness I've ever had, this really nasty cold where I've got this headache, I'm coughing, my lungs are, just a mess, I'm dizzy, and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to perform during tryouts. I'm like, oh my God. So I start trying to take all these pills, do whatever. It didn't help. I show up to tryouts.
So this tryout is literally, this is everything you've done from trying to prove that you're good at basketball to now trying to get in with the kids in the high school to eventually make the team. It's all led up to this moment.
Exactly. It's led up to this one moment, this one weekend of tryouts right before Thanksgiving. And I'd been working my tail off. And, when you're 14, when you're 15, a whole summer, 6 months is a massive amount of time. So I felt like I'd been training forever, my whole life, for this one moment. And when the time came, and I knew I had the goods because I was training with the guys that were on the team, I knew I was going to make the team. But this one event basically just screwed me. And basically, I was dizzy. I tried to make shots. The world was spinning. I was coughing. I couldn't keep up in the drills, the running drills. And it was super depressing because I didn't make the team. I still remember the day my mom, she drives up, to the high school, how they have the tryouts on the door outside. Yeah. I drive up, I get out of the car, I'm walking up. I remember it was raining. I walk up and I look on the door and I see the piece of paper. And I see the piece of paper right there, and it was all the people on the list, the JV list. And so I start, have my finger, I go down the list. And as I get further down the list, my heart, starts beating faster and faster and faster. And I get all the way down, and then my heart just sunk.
Damn.
My heart just sunk. I wasn't on the team. I'm like, what the hell? There has to be a mistake. So I go up, one more time. And then another time, I'm like, there has to be a mistake. And so it was just depressing. I got in the car, and my mom's like, did you make the team? And I was like, no, I didn't make the team. But you know what I told her is, here's one thing that I regret. I'm going to be completely, raw, vulnerable, is before we went up to look at that list, I told my mom, I was like, you know what, Mom? I was like, Michael Jordan, he's cut from his high school basketball team. If I don't make the team, you got to drop me off at the basketball court. I'm going straight there, and I'm going to train and practice. And as soon as I got in the car, I don't think I initiated it, or my mom didn't take me, so I didn't fall through on that promise to myself. And I think one of the biggest keys that I've learned in life, that I've learned from my mentors and other people I've learned from, is that self-confidence is built by keeping promises you make to yourself, right? Mm-hmm. And I broke that promise to myself, and that destroyed my self-confidence because I felt like I'd lost control, lost power. I felt like, almost a victim because I didn't have control or power over that situation. So that's where it really started. And from there, I didn't really ever recover. And so then I started getting these really weird stomach aches before school. I'd get on the bus, I'd be riding to school, and I just started getting these really intense, sharp stomach pains right in the middle of my stomach, right? And they got so bad that one day in between classes, I think it was 10.
Is this still kind of connected to the same sickness you had before tryouts?
I think so. So I think that looking back, we believe that I think that moment severely crushed my immune system. Because I pushed my body so hard during tryouts that I think I was already sick.
You were already sick.
And then I got sick for 2 more weeks after tryouts. So it got even
And now
sicker.
you're having stomach pains.
And so now I'm having stomach pains. And I think that, Lon, I'll kind of fill you in on the story later, but I think that what we found, hindsight, was that when it destroyed my immune system, Lyme disease can actually sit dormant in the body until the immune system is weakened, and then it'll come out and it'll actually take over.
Yeah.
So that's what we think what happened, is that I got Lyme disease, years prior, and a lot of people have it. It just don't show symptoms because they have strong, healthy immune systems.
And it's like the one disease that we have no treatment for.
Yep.
There's nothing you can do, and it fucks you up.
Yeah.
It's something you can't control, which is like the fucking tick population.
Exactly. You can't control mosquitoes, spiders. It's freaking brutal. And so
this Lyme disease literally prevented you from reaching your original goal, which was to make the team.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's definitely what I also had, because Lyme disease, if you look into the symptoms, has a lot of joint pain. You can have nausea. You can have, different types of basically brain fog, which is like, I still remember when I, eventually I'll jump back into the story. So I'm starting to have these like really intense stomach aches before school, right? On the bus. One day it gets so bad where I'm literally between classes and I have to go to the bathroom because it hurts so bad. And I'm like, I don't know if I can go to class. And so it got so bad to where it hurts so bad that I literally just started to clench up. I literally just started to like bend over into a ball. And so I immediately grabbed my phone and call my mom. Like, Mom, like, I feel super sick. I need you to come get me. So she come and gets me. I don't go to school for the rest of the day. All my friends are like, where you at, bro? You okay? Where you at? And I'm just at home curled up on the couch for the rest of the day. And so I wake up, I feel fine, but eventually it starts getting worse and worse, right? So it leads into having this happen 2, 3, 4 times a week, progressively, right? It'd be 1 or 2 days a week, then be 2 or 3, then 3 or 4. And eventually I was going to school barely 1 or 2 days a week. So Mom's like, we got to pull him out of school. He's not even, able to do his schoolwork. And so that's when the most depressing journey of my entire life happened, is when I got pulled out of school. I'm super passionate about life, basketball, and I'm trying to figure out what the hell's wrong with me. And so we start going doctor to doctor. And so the first doctor we go to was pretty much like the ER almost, because it hurt so bad. And my mom's like, we're going to take you. This is something weird. So we go in and she diagnoses me with stomach migraines. I'm like, what the fuck is a stomach migraine? And she's like, oh, take these pills. You'll be better in 6 weeks. Yeah. And my mom's like, these pills aren't going to help him, right? And so we go to another doctor, right? And then they recommend, that I have, whatever it is. I don't know what the next thing was. There's so many. SIBO, maybe. Take this antibiotic. You'll be better in 6 weeks. You can go back to school. You're going to be 100%. I'm like, yes, finally, a cure. 6 weeks roll around. I'm not any better, if not worse. And so it was just depressing. So then we go to the next doctor and they say, I have this and to do this and you'll be better. And this happens 3 or 4 times. And at this point, I'm just so depressed. I'm so hopeless. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be a sick kid for the rest of my life. And the wretched thing about this disease was that every time that I ate, I got the most intense stomach pain ever. It intensified the pain. And so imagine like every time you eat, instead of it being an enjoyable experience, it turns into the most excruciating pain you've ever felt. So I literally just stopped eating. So I was eating less than, 1,000 calories a day. And I ended up just, losing all my muscle, all the gains that I'd made playing basketball. I turned into this skinny kid that looked like a freaking, guy that just came out of a concentration camp. And so that's when the journey began. So luckily, this was a God thing, 100%, because out of nowhere, this got so bad that my parents thought that I had chronic appendicitis. So they took me to a doctor and they're like, you know what, it's maybe a little bit enlarged. We could take it out, see if it helps. And so, chronic appendicitis is essentially where it doesn't rupture immediately. It slowly ruptures over time. So my parents were like, we're desperate. We think he's going to die. He stopped eating. We just got to do something. So I'm literally in the, room getting ready to go into surgery to get my appendix out. And my chiropractor, since I was a little kid, my mom is a chiropractor, so it was her trainer, her, person above her. She comes in, she's like, why is Bridget in here? He was like the healthiest, energetic, go-getting kid ever. And he, my mom was like, he's been out of school for a couple semesters. We don't know what's wrong with him. And she was like, have you ever, thought maybe he has Lyme disease? You should definitely go get him checked. There's this, #1 specialist here in Coeur d'Alene. His name's, Dr. Tony Smith. And she's like, really? So she takes it down. And then sure enough, as soon as I get out of the emergency room, we schedule an appointment. And, we go in and get checked for Lyme disease in November of 2016. And then sure enough, I had it. He did different muscle testing and things like that. And I had Lyme disease. And so I'm like, holy crap. So then luckily there is a treatment out there. It's not known. And luckily this guy treated me. And within a couple months, I started to feel better, but I wasn't 100% better. See, the thing about Lyme disease is it sucks the living nutrients out of you. So it really, if you look at the type of DNA that it is, or the way that it looks, is it's actually spiral. So it actually spirals into your own DNA and it hides so that your body can't naturally attack it. So that's the way that he treats it, is he uses these different magnets to wake the body up and say, hey, there's a virus there, you need to go attack it. So he actually trains the body to go attack and heal itself. And so that led to him, after, my body's destroyed of all these nutrients, he's like, okay, you need to check out this DNA doctor so we can get you on some supplements to restore your immune system, right? And so I get recommended to this doctor named Dr. Bob Miller. And so literally it was the weirdest thing, Patrick. I swear to God, my mom is on the phone with him the first consulting call. And before my mom even says a word about me, this guy's like, Gail, let me ask you a question. Does your son, tend to have like really, intense stomach pains? And she's like, yeah. Is he a pretty ambitious, go-getting kid, very, whatever, type A? And she's like, yeah. And she starts going through the list of exactly who I am. She's like, how do you know this? Like, I haven't given you any information. Oh, I can tell by looking at his DNA right here. And so immediately my mom has got, she's got his attention, right? And he's like, yeah, so, looking at your DNA, you've got this deficiency. Here's why the stomach aches are happening, because you have a histamine imbalance. Your body doesn't naturally process it. And so my mom's just like blown. She's like, what the hell? And so sure enough, she orders these supplements. I'm not kidding, Patrick. Within 2 months of taking these organic whole food DNA supplements, boom, I'm freaking 85% better. I have enough energy after going from my bed to the couch to my bed again to finally start working out and going back into life. So May 4th, 2017, I mustered up the courage to go in and hit my first workout. And I still remember the first workout, Patrick, like it was yesterday. I remember walking into the gym, the Croc Center. I hadn't been in there in over 2 years. The people that saw me there before, I was in shape. I was, a great basketball player. I was, strong. I go in there and my posture, I remember I literally had to go to physical therapy because my posture was melted into a couch. Because I had been in the couch for 18 months, my posture was so bad. I was literally curled like was like an old guy, right? And so I walk in there, I've got shitty posture, I'm skinny, I'm so insecure. I had like the worst anxiety I've ever had in my entire life. I felt like everybody was looking at me, everybody was judging me. And maybe, for those of you who are listening right now, you can relate to that at some level. And so I remember going up to the incline bench press. At this point, I'm hitting my first workout on Greg O'Gallagher's Greek God program. And so I go up and I grab the barbell and I'm trying to set this thing up. And I'm so weak, I can barely lift this 45-pound bar up to adjust it. And I'm like, struggling. It falls down, makes a big noise, and everybody looks at me and I just feel like an idiot. And so I'm starting to put this together. And eventually I sit down and I grab the bar and I get just barely, I'm like struggling to lift up this 45-pound, freaking barbell. And so I come down, I'm like shaking and struggling and like barely get like 4 half reps, 5 reps. And I'm I'm literally doubting myself if I can even build muscle, Patrick, because I'm so skinny that it feels like, in order to activate muscles, you have to get the muscles to burn. I felt like I had no muscle to build. I felt like it was impossible for me to build muscle. And so, but sure enough, I was like, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to do whatever it takes. And so I start showing up to the gym, hitting the 3 workouts a week. And crazy enough, Patrick, I don't know. Have you ever heard of hyperbaric oxygen chamber treatment? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So my parents actually decided to get me on that to heal faster. And this is the most insane, crazy technology. So guys like, NFL football players, they use this to recover insanely fast. And so basically the science behind it is that it 100% oxygenates your body. And so that heals you rapidly. So I literally remember I used to hit my workouts before I'd go into this. And so I'd hit my workouts and I'd be sore immediately because I was so weak from working out. I was just so sore. I'd go in there and I'd breathe oxygen for 30 minutes. And then boom, I'd come out, I wasn't sore. I'm like, what the hell? It 100% oxygenates your body and recovers. I used to recover so fast. It was insane. I was like, wow, this makes
crazy.
This makes sense why the football players do it.
Yeah. Well, that's even crazier for me to hear that because this is like relatively new stuff, hyperbaric, isn't it?
Yeah.
So 100%. Like when I was in college, I was a freshman in 2008 and I graduated with my biology degree in 2012. And I remember I took like the anatomy and physiology version in college. It's called Human Body. And at my school, K-State, Human Body is like well known around all the schools in the area because it's like the hardest version of anatomy and physiology. And it's like intensive and like you don't have time to take any other classes other than that. Wow. And so I remember we had this whole seminar about like the way your blood gets oxygen and the red blood cells and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And naturally people are already at 98% oxygen. Yep. And so when I know that, and she was the professor was almost talking shit on the football players. She had a slide with the football player like sitting there breathing the oxygen mask like, listen, you're already 98%. You think it's going to make that big of a difference, the extra 2%, but it really doesn't. It's just a myth. You just feel better at the moment. And she would say this, but to hear like kind of the new research about the hyperbaric oxygen chambers, it was on the test, bro. And and so to hear that, like for you, it really helped you not only overcome like the recovery of the Lyme disease, but also start having a functioning body again. Mm-hmm. That extra 2% is everything for you almost, you know?
100%. And that 2% compounds. That's 2% every day, bro.
Yeah.
And so that 2% turns into 60% over a month, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, I don't know what the science is. It might compound even more, but just doing that math, you know, it was nuts.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's where my journey began, man, is, you know, I had this insane illness that nobody at my age has ever, very few people have encountered, right? So
most people never want to encounter it.
Yeah, most
it's like you
people
never
never
want to
do.
get in a boxing match with Mike Tyson.
yeah.
But you fucking did it.
Dude, I went in there, bro, and I mean, it was brutal, man. It was there's countless days where I just want to give up, bro. I mean, there's only so much Netflix and video games you can play until you just want to freaking die, bro. And so I remember, you know, the lowest point.
That's how we should start torturing like those low level criminals. Like they're not OJ, they're not fucking Aaron Hernandez, they're not Epstein, but they're just like they forgot to pay their taxes once. You know, we just make them sit in solitary confinement with Netflix and video games, and that's it.
Dude, that would literally drive you nuts, bro. I swear to God. There's only so many good shows out there. There's only so many good video games, and at that point,
the worst part is
their
he's
head
gonna
in it.
spend the whole time just looking for something to watch,
Just scrolling.
Yeah.
He's watched everything. Then you watch it on repeat.
or he
It's
just can't decide on what to watch if he's like me. I'll sit there for like a fucking hour
Really?
just trying to decide what to watch.
You
bro.
watch like the previews on the Netflix.
I don't even have the patience for the previews. I'm
you
just
serious?
like your thumbnail didn't catch me, so it doesn't deserve to get my view.
Bro, that's mad funny, dude. I think that's their it's kind of their model, right? Same with YouTube. They want you to just keep scrolling,
Yeah.
right? Because more scrolls, more ads, whatever.
It is interesting because they do pay attention to the analytics on the views, the view rate of the trailers, and like the thumbnails. You'll see them split testing different thumbnails for different shows.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
it's like its own social media platform
Yeah, but it's
for
just
movies, though.
got the only goal of retaining you as a subscriber.
Yep, that's true. Yeah, they want to keep you on there forever, dude. Netflix is nuts, bro. The way that they've built that and they destroyed Blockbuster, it's kind of like Facebook, right? We'll see if Spotify comes out of nowhere with this $100 million deal
Bro.
with freaking.
See,
who
here's
knows, bro?
here's my theory on Spotify, bro, because this happened literally the week I start my own fucking podcast. I've been building up to this shit for at least a year. I've been talking about starting this thing for the last year. I even was emailing on my email list, hey guys, we're starting a podcast in 2019, so get ready. And I fucking sat on it for a year. Talk about speed of implementation. But here's the thing, it was because I was having so much momentum in my dating advice business that I was like, I know this is a dream of mine, but unless it incorporates into the grander vision of what I'm currently working on, I don't feel comfortable doing it. And so now I've spent a year essentially like remapping my business plan for the dating advice. So that way everything's a cohesive fit like a puzzle. And so moral of the story is I finally just did it. And so the coronavirus hit and it postponed all this equipment from actually arriving to my place. They'd say expected delivery on this date, and it takes an extra 2 weeks to get there. This desk I ordered in January. I just got it last month, bro.
Oh,
Like,
what?
yeah, and so
Ordered from Amazon?
no, it was from a company that makes these desks somewhere.
Okay, gotcha.
They claim it's in Europe, but then it got sent from somewhere in like New Hampshire. So I don't fucking know. But anyways, it's a dope desk. We got the studio, and then this fucking Joe Rogan deal hits, and I'm like, yo. I felt the wave of video podcasts on YouTube coming in 2018, 2019, and it hit. And I knew I missed it. But then I was like, you know what? I love podcasts. It's basically all I consume. So I want to start my own. And I'm not going to let the fact that I'm now a year late get my own. And so then this hits, and I'm like, yo, how does this change the game for me? And so when he announced that, I was like, it could be either really good or really bad. Here's why it could be really bad. It could be really bad because when Joe Rogan leaves YouTube and he deletes all of his podcasts off of YouTube and moves them all exclusively only over to Spotify. All right. Now do video podcasts on YouTube become irrelevant the way vlogging became irrelevant last year.
That's a good question.
So that's the downside that could happen.
Or does it just shift to Spotify?
That's what I'm saying.
The videos are going to Spotify. So maybe the new platform where you can go rapidly or whatever. That's why they're trying to like lead the movement. They're trying to get the leader of podcasts say, hey, we're the platform. Say your voice. We're not going to control you. Do what you want. Here's Spotify.
Yeah. And I think on the same line of thinking, though, is like, what if, because this is the only thing I'm unsure about. Is there a barrier to entry to Spotify? Because if there's a barrier to entry to where you have to be Joe Rogan to get on Spotify, and the only video podcasts allowed on Spotify are people invited by Spotify and getting paid by Spotify. Because if if it becomes a barrier to entry, now it's almost like if you only have a video podcast on YouTube, it's like, okay, that's cool, but you're not on Spotify because there's a barrier to entry. And so now it's like, think about it like this. Throughout history, people consumed on the radio, and then they consumed on TV, making the radio irrelevant. Then they consumed on the internet, which kind of made TV irrelevant, and TV's dying out. It's getting less views on fucking normal shows than someone's live stream on YouTube. And so now the reason that YouTube and the internet blew up is because the number one difference between radio and television is that there was no barrier to entry. Anybody could post something on YouTube. And because there was no barrier to entry, it created all these different people who had even an inkling to create and grow an audience and show up on camera. And so that made TV irrelevant because TV still had a barrier to entry. If you were on TV, that's cool, but you can go on YouTube and get a bigger following. Now, here's why the Spotify deal is even more interesting, because if they leave up a barrier to entry, it could almost be like they are the next television, to where now you're irrelevant unless you're on Spotify, but there's that barrier to entry. The flip side of that is, well, if Joe Rogan's off Spotify, then someone's got to come up and be the next number one.
On YouTube.
On YouTube.
That means that there's a competition.
Yeah.
There's a competition on now. And now that your video podcast is an asset that you can sell to Spotify.
Yes.
It's a ticket. That's why I think that it's exciting for everybody. I think that if you frame it that way, you're competitive. I think that this could be the biggest opportunity, because I watched a video, Valuetainment. This guy did a video on it, and he was saying how they paid him $100 million for this contract, and boom, within 48 hours, it shot up $5 billion. Their stock increased. It increased by $5 billion. So everybody's going to say, hey, here's a freaking $100 bill. I'll take $5,000.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to go to that slot machine. So now the value, Joe Rogan's worth $5 billion because he added $5 billion, of value to the marketplace.
And he's like a professional athlete because it's like a 3 or 4 year deal. And it's free game. He can go wherever he wants after 4 years. Yeah. Who's next? Who's willing to pay the next higher ticket? You know?
100%. That's insane that he's got. Yeah. So now it's, these podcasters, these people with audiences almost become like you said, football players, or not players, but teams. They almost become like franchises that you can buy and monetize. And so that's why I think it's so exciting, for you to be starting, and then eventually, I'll start my own podcast. And I think it's awesome, man.
Kind of with the whole timing of this, even though it was already kind of in the works before the coronavirus hit, I said, I'm going to make this a chapter in my fucking grand, epic novel of a life, right? And I'm going to say, remember that time where the whole fucking world was collapsing? And just like the collapse in 2008, where a lot of people grew their businesses online because they had to figure out a way because they were losing everything they had. I want this shutdown. I want to look back on it and go, that's when I fucking started that podcast. How crazy is that?
Dude, I love that, bro. And I think that that story is going to make you 10 times more valuable to the marketplace 10 years from now. All the people that, went through that hell in 2008, like Grant Cardone, he always talks about that. That's when he created the 10X movement, whatever. So I think that that's where, greatness is created. Greatness is created from desperation, from, you've got your back against the wall and you have to make something happen. Otherwise you're out, and humans were resilient. We're going to find a way or make one if it comes down to that.
Yeah. And honestly, for me, I was kind of telling Chris this because I told my story on the episode we did before this, but I told you even my story yesterday. And honestly, for me, like the reason I dropped out of dental school, one of the main reasons is because when I got there, I realized everything I had done up to this point, college, trying to get good grades, studying for the entrance exams, it all led to this moment. And there was kind of like an overwhelming feeling that everybody kind of shared in that first year of dental school is like, we've made it, we can breathe easy. And I felt like, I realized in that moment, oh shit, is this it? Is this what I worked so hard for? Mm-hmm. And I was like, I thought it'd be like heaven. It'd be like a lot better than this. This is just fucking normal life in school and shit. And so I realized that everybody was going along that plan of like, we get the fucking degree, we get the job, and we do this for the next 40 years. And because they had fucking made it, they knew they would have doctor's salary for the next 40, 50 years. So for them, it was a security thing internal, right? And for me, just similar upbringing to you, trying to prove that yourself, having the chip on your shoulder with basketball. You and I both share a similar chip on the story with the basketball story.
Yep.
And so because of that, I realized I wasn't wired like these people, because as soon as I realized this was the destination, I was like, I'm not wired to reach a destination. I'm wired to keep fucking growing until I fucking can't grow anymore.
I love that, bro.
And so that's part of why I dropped out, is because I didn't want to settle. And the online became the dropping out and starting from scratch and becoming a dating coach, when how many fucking dating coaches are there in the world? Like, how many dentists are there in the world, and how many dating coaches are there in the world? It's fucking crazy to do that, right?
Yeah, that's nuts.
And so for me, because it was so fucking crazy, I saw it as a challenge that I wanted to overcome almost, because it's just like the chip on the shoulder, you know? And so, man, I don't even know how we got on this tangent.
Bro, I love it, bro.
Yeah.
Dude, I think we said that when we started this, man, you know, we were just going to let it flow, bro.
Yeah.
Let it flow and grow.
I'm intrigued with how you went from literally overcoming Lyme's disease, because this is all within a couple of years, because now you're working out, but then that transitions to you getting a workout coach, just like you got a basketball coach.
Yep.
And then this person becoming your dream fucking person to ever work for or work with. And it ends up happening. You fucking manifested it.
Dude.
And people were making fun of you because they doubted you. And then you still made it happen. So tell us about it.
Yeah, this is probably one of the greatest stories from my life that I'll look back on, because you know, I'm this small town kid from Idaho. I'm bagging groceries, making $7.85 an hour, trying to get my driver's license because I have to pay for everything, right? And so, you know, I'm 16 coming out. So I'm 16 years old coming out of this Lyme disease, almost 17. So summer of 2017. So I remember the first workout I hit, this is where it all started, May 4th, 2017. I told you that story. So this goes on. I consistently hit a workout. I do not miss a workout for the next 4 weeks. I follow Greg's program and I get insane results. I go from 125 pounds at 5'11" to 145 pounds. And the results on the program were nuts. And so immediately, you know, I'm looking up to this guy. For him, he was the guy that got me motivated. Like, he was the guy. I was watching his YouTube when I was sick, stuck at home, no friends. You know, almost all my friends abandoned me. You know, I wasn't, you know, going on dates, wasn't talking to girls. I was literally living like the lowest level of freaking life possible, right? I couldn't do anything. And so, you know, I remember watching dating advice or whatever, you know, scale of 1 to 10, right? Unattractive. I was at a 0. Nobody wants to date a freaking sick guy who can't provide, who his mom's taking care of him. You know, I was at the lowest of the lows on the totem pole for that. And so, you know, being able to look at Greg as like a role model of something that I want to achieve, that strong, powerful, lean, chiseled, you know, physique, right? That was really inspiring to me. And so watching his videos is what I did to keep myself inspired along the journey. Every single day after I got home from workout, while I'd eat, I would watch one of his videos, and I'd imagine living that type of lifestyle, driving the Lamborghini, you know, doing what I loved as a career, transforming people's lives, making money, doing what I loved, right? That's the biggest thing for me, is I don't ever want to have to do a job that I hated. Like, I've worked 2 jobs my entire life, and to be honest, you know, I found a way to make them fun, but I hated the actual work. You know, I don't like having to show up and having to do this or whatever. You know, I want to be able to live life on my terms, right? And so it all started with that. And so, you know, at the time, I'd been hit with all these marketers. I'm watching YouTube videos, and Grant Cardone, you know, is somebody that I met. Ty Lopez is somebody that I met online, and that really impacted me. So what they're saying is, you know, you got to find a mentor, right? You got to find somebody who's where you want to be. And so for Greg, he was doing what I wanted to do. And so, you know, all these mentors said, you got to add value. You know, you can't just try to take, you have to give. You have to go with a giving hand. And so I, you know, just want to add value. I was just so grateful for the program. One day on Instagram, I was following Greg. He posted a post on his Greek God program, or about his Greek God program. He was like, you know, this is a great program. If you want to get jacked, sign up, whatever. And so I commented, I'm like, listen, guys, if you're ever doubting this program, if it works, just look at my transformation on my page. This shit works 100%. It was the best investment I've ever made. You have to sign up. You know, so I was trying to sell for him, help him out. And so he saw that comment and saw my transformation. He commented, he's like, dude, that's freaking sick, man. He's like, can I repost your transformation? And at this point, it was my dream to get on what I call the Kino Body Hall of Fame. So he reposts clients' transformations, right? And so by just adding value, being a part of the community, you know, Greg, he's a good leader. He looked at that and he's like, you know what? I'm going to recognize this. I'm going to showcase this. So he promoted that. And then, you know, it was freaking awesome because I kind of got a taste of that kind of that fame, or that kind of not necessarily fame, but that ability to impact people and have an audience. So I went from about 100 followers, which were just my friends on Instagram, to about 300 followers. And after he shouted me out, all those people start asking me questions that followed me. Does the program actually work? Whatever. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna add more value. Start helping, you know, inspire people and push people and, you know, sell people on the programs. And so that's when it led into learning how to really sell, you know, online or through the DMs, right? And so this was 2017. And so after he shouted me out on Instagram, immediately I had his attention, right? And so now I have his attention. I ask him, you know, at the time I come back to high school and, you know, I'm actually doing dual enrollment. So I'm actually going to college while I'm going to high school. So I'm actually just taking college classes. And so one of the classes was entrepreneurship class. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to ask Greg if...
What do they teach in a class about entrepreneurship? Because I feel like that's a catch-22. It's like
it's all theory. It's all theory. So a lot of it's research and theory. So the stuff that they taught me, some of it was good. We actually wrote a business plan. The only thing that about it though is you don't actually make any money. You're not going to make any money in college. They teach you all theory. So I learned stuff on management. I did an elevator pitch. It was good. It was better than any other class I could have taken in college, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, counting those entrepreneurship classes, 100% I'd rather be in that than freaking, you know, world history, you know, in junior year high school. So as far as what they teach you, you know, I mean, it comes down to books, you know, it comes down to, you know, I wrote a business plan. So I figured out, you know, executive summary. I learned how to do all that, find market research, see how big the market is, see who my biggest competitors were, you know, seeing what their products were, basically funnel hacking, right? Yeah. After I got into Russell Brunson stuff. So jumping back on the tangent, how I met Greg. So then I interview him, just like this. Skype, it was over Skype though. So I interview him.
Yeah, fuck those Skype interviews. We're changing the game. We're doing the video podcast. Dude,
video's where it's at. This is where it's at. It's the real deal.
If I want to get fucking Will Smith on my podcast one day, motherfucker's gonna have to roll into downtown Phoenix and come to my one-bedroom apartment. Can you picture Will Smith walking up the fucking elevator, like getting buzzed in, bro?
Oh my God,
into this fucking apartment building.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you right now, bro. If you want to get Will Smith, you're gonna have to find a new place. You gotta upgrade, bro.
My dog barks when Will Smith walks in the door.
He starts jumping on you like he did with me.
Yeah.
That'd be mad funny. So anyways, so where were we, Patrick?
You were talking about yourself.
That's right. I do that a lot. Let me think. I mean, there's a lot to talk about here, Patrick. I mean,
there's so much to talk about. So aliens, you believe in aliens?
You know, I don't believe in aliens.
Were you with Brian the other night when they saw did you see the video?
I didn't see it. I saw the video though, but I think it could have been Tesla, SpaceX. It could have been, you know, who knows, a drone. There's so much drones.
Yeah.
For me, I'd have to see it.
Oh, well, did you?
I'll have to see.
I can actually bust out the video because I screen recorded Brian's story.
Well, no. But that's just a little blimp. How do you know, like,
it is not a blimp. It is concentric circles that shift and change shape and shrink and then pop back into existence. It is crazy. And here's the only reason I know that is because I screen recorded his video. And you can listen to the commentary, and he's like, I'm not zooming in. I'm not zooming in. He's like, I didn't move the camera. And so, but the thing gets smaller, and I did this. I slowed it down frame by frame and watched it. The thing shrunk in size, got this big. So it's a big ass ball with two concentric spheres inside of it.
Okay.
Clearly defined concentric spheres of different luminosity or whatever. It's differently lit spheres, right? It shrinks into an infinitely dense like point of light, pops back out into existence, and then it turns into like an L shape. But the L shape, it's like, it looks like a glitch, and it only lasts one frame, and it did it twice.
All right, Patrick, I got to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Which alien shows did you watch that make you want to believe that that's true?
First off, Joe Rogan's podcast where he interviewed Commander Fravor, who was the Navy pilot who was on the airplane of the Pentagon released video of the UFO that they just confirmed.
Okay.
He was the pilot on there.
Okay.
Joe Rogan interviewed him.
Okay.
on his account of what he saw and what happened, because he's fucking seeing it with his own eyes, and we just saw the video that the Pentagon released. So that was one moment. The other moment was when he interviewed what's his face? Why is the guy from the Area 51, Bob Lazar? He interviews Bob Lazar, who worked at Area 51. He's the guy who came out in the 80s that said aliens were real and the U.S. government is storing them at Area 51. He's the motherfucker who started that in the 80s, because he came out and said, I worked for them and this is what I saw, this is what I worked on. He was working on one of the flying saucers. So in the 80s and the 90s, he was written off as a crazy person, but he's a physicist who's super smart. And throughout that whole time, there's evidence of the FBI and the CIA. They're trying to erase his records. They're trying to erase the fact that he worked at Los Alamos, which is the base that comes up with a lot of this technology. And it's like a propulsion lab. They're trying to erase the fact that he ever went to MIT and got his engineering degree. They're trying to erase all this stuff about him, so that looks fishy. But one of the key things he said in the 80s was element 115 was the fuel source. I don't know if you know much about the periodic table, but you know how each element has a number?
Yeah.
So the way the periodic table is designed is it's they didn't just say, hey, let's make it this shape. It's an actual algorithm, so you can predict where the next element might be based on the shape of the periodic table. And so at the time in the 80s, we knew theoretically maybe possibly element 115 could exist. You know, like number 8 is oxygen, number 1 is hydrogen. Element 115 didn't exist on Earth though, but we knew on the periodic table it could. And he said element 115 is the fuel source of these flying saucers. And he said it was like a solid rock. It was like a fucking cube of element 115. And so long story short, everybody writes him off as crazy. 2004, Russian scientists are able to create element 115, but it's unstable and only lasts like a split second. But it is because particle colliders. So now we know element 115 has been confirmed to actually be possible to exist. And now that's why Joe Rogan had him on. And I believe that I'm a very good judge of character. I'm very good at reading people's micro expressions, their body language. And also I've been practicing since I was a kid, because I was super into poker when I was in middle school. And so I've always been looking out for that kind of stuff. So anyways, I don't see a single hint that this man is lying, right? He at least believes every fucking word out of his mouth, but he doesn't slip up. You know, there's nothing that you perceive to him to think that he's not telling the truth about his experience at Area 51. So
I'm open to it.
Combined with the Commander Fravor, I looked into it. And so there's something there, you know?
Dude, honestly, I think it'd be sick if we could believe it, but as long as it wouldn't be harmful. Who wants another war? Who wants World War III? I mean, I'm happy chilling.
Well, that's under the assumption that aliens and UFOs would be evil and looking to start a war with us.
That's true.
That they're hostile.
That's true. That's what I'm saying. Hopefully they're chill. That's what I would like to be.
Yeah.
Maybe we can freaking combine.
Have you ever gone...
Alien baby. Pops out, it can start flying. Who knows?
Yeah. Have you ever talked to Clark about this?
I haven't.
Yeah,
we should get him on right now. Call him. Should we FaceTime him right now?
Clark is super into this kind of stuff.
Really?
Me and him nerded out on it privately before. We've actually gone alien hunting, UFO hunting, right after Brian saw that shit. I bought night vision goggles and we tried to see the same one the next night, but
that explains why he has this huge friggin' binoculars on his porch.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't blame him. I know that explains a lot of people. Stargazing.
Yeah. Bro, anybody who has ever looked through a telescope at Saturn, you know that they are not a flat earther. Like, I was mind blown by the flat earth conspiracy. Have you ever heard of that one? You've never heard of flat earth?
Oh, like people say it was flat?
Yeah, but it's like it gained relevance on social media in the last few years.
No, what?
Yeah.
People think the Earth's flat?
There's been a whole movement of people trying to say the world is actually flat. And celebrities come out. B.O.B. You remember B.O.B., the rapper? Convinced the world is flat. Kyrie Irving, convinced the world is flat. So anyways, these motherfuckers have clearly never looked through a telescope at the planet Saturn. Because being in Kansas and going to school in a country fucking university, K-State, I took astronomy class, favorite class I've ever taken. And one of the assignments was we all had to go out and stargaze with a telescope with the astronomy professor in this random ass field in the middle of nowhere, Kansas. And we all went to that, and he would line it up, pointed at these galaxies. And so here's what blew my mind is like, through a telescope, if you're looking with the naked eye, everything just looks like a different star. And you go, oh, there's so many stars in the sky. You look through a telescope and you realize some of these stars are whole entire galaxies that look like a fucking galaxy that you would see in on Google Images. And then some of these stars are planets. So we looked at Venus, and when he pointed it at Saturn, I had never seen through a telescope a fucking planet. But when I looked at the telescope, sure enough, it's just black with just this bright lit up ball that looks like every picture of Saturn you've ever seen. And it's clearly not flat. That's the point here. And so if you're a flat earther, you must be retarded
That's what I'm
to
saying.
think that Saturn's round and everything else around us is round, but we are the chosen ones that are flat. Motherfuckers, look
does
through
that
a
even
telescope.
yeah, exactly.
Open your eyes.
Yeah, for real. I wonder what the aliens think of us, those people that believe in flat Earth.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
That was disproved.
These fucking ants on the ground.
Sailed the ocean blue in 1960, whatever it was.
Yeah. Think about it.
Proved the Earth was round.
Think about this. Think about this. I'm about to get deep on you.
Oh, shit. Let's hear it.
Not deep inside of you, though. Just deep.
Bro, we ain't into that here.
How many ships never sailed because they believed the earth was flat? That was a really
Zero.
good moment of silence right there. Think about it. The fucking beliefs you have about the world around you cause you to not take those fucking actions that change the fucking way humanity works. Like, think about it. How many people could have been Christopher Columbus before Christopher Columbus?
That's true.
But they never took
So
action
many.
because everybody told them the world was flat and they were just too afraid to go out and see for them fucking selves.
Damn. Think about that. Maybe some of the things that hold us. I mean, honestly, I think that a lot of science is bullshit. Like, science has proved, whatever, evolution, and then the science comes out, it's not true. Science, whatever, like, science just continues to...
It evolves.
It evolves.
It's
It
a
changes.
continually evolving theory of the way the
It's like
world
personal
works.
development, 100%. They think they understand it, and then they don't. They think that, element 151's impossible, and then boom, it comes out.
Yo,
They think that-
151 would be insane. They can't even get element 115 for more than a couple.
115. That's
Yeah.
what it was. 115. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I think that we're still understanding it. You can't take anything as for sure right now. I think that some things you gotta just experiment with. It's the rule breakers.
Yeah, the rule breakers.
The rule breakers. I mean, think about that. If you were to go back in time and say, you know what, you can grab this little brick, and you can see them across the other side of the planet, traveling through these airwaves we can't even see.
Yeah.
Does that sound like something that is possible somebody can invent? I mean, dude, no, if you go back like 50, 100 years, people are
Yeah.
going to think you're nuts.
You took this cell phone back to the 1800s.
Yeah,
They would think you're a witch.
exactly. They
They would burn you at the stake.
They would freaking roast you.
They would not even be able to process if you showed him a video of a country western movie so it looked exactly like the life he was used to, and you said, look at this screen and this video on this screen that looks like the world you know. He wouldn't be able to process the video that that looks normal because he's still trying to process the fact that he's watching a video and the fact that he's also watching it on a device that he's never seen before. Like, what the fuck is this moving color thing?
100%. He'd be like, what the hell? Did they have video in the 1800s? Hundreds? No.
No.
Came out in the 1900s, right? Yeah.
Well, the first videos were actually still pictures, and you look through a slit and you spin the screen, and so it looks like the pictures are moving because you're
Oh.
looking at it through a slit.
Walt Disney.
I don't
That's
know
what
if
he
it
did.
was
Each
Walt
slide,
Disney,
each
bro.
slide- No. I mean, he didn't create it, but he used that technology
Yeah.
for his first cartoon.
No, it was Steve Jobs.
Shut the fuck up.
Steve Jobs created video and invented the iPhone.
Dude, this guy's a G.
Yeah.
Shout out to Steve Jobs right now. We wish you were here joining us.
I'm pretty sure he also invented
pull up an extra
electricity.
seat. Bro, that was Elon Musk.
Prove me wrong. Change my mind. Steve Jobs invented electricity.
Bro, that was Elon Musk, bro.
You're right. Elon Musk created Tesla and then created electricity. And now he's
Dude, he
taking
had
man
to
to the
create
Mars.
electricity to get Tesla going, bro.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what would he do with a freaking car that runs off electricity? There's,
So tell me how you manifested your dream mentor, because you never
Okay,
got
yeah.
to that.
Okay, yeah. So we keep jumping off on the tangent, so I'll get focused for a minute. So I provide value, right? We're jumping back into this. I dropped a comment. He saw the comment. He reposted it. We hopped on a Skype interview from an entrepreneurship class. And then from there, I interviewed him, asked him questions about entrepreneurship. At the end, I shared with him, kind of my story. And he was really inspired by that, how I overcame Lyme disease. And so he decided to follow me on Instagram because he liked my story. You know, I was following his program, see my journey. So, you know, he keeps in touch with my stuff. He likes my stuff here and there. And then another 6 months go by, and then I gain another 20 pounds or, 15 pounds of muscle or whatever on his programs. And so he's like, damn, he's like, dude, can I repost this one too? I'm like, hell yeah, you can.
Yeah.
And so he reposts it. And so I jumped from like 300 to 1,000 followers. And so from there, that's when things really started to change for me. And this is when I remember the first time I made any money online ever, right? This was, at the time I was bagging groceries, like I said, making $7.85 an hour. And when Greg shouted me out, I started getting tons and tons of DMs, hundreds of DMs from these, 1,000 followers that I had, right? And asked me questions about the program. And so I was like, you know what? I'm closing these guys. They're buying, they're signing up. They're like, thanks, Bridget. Thanks so much. I'm getting, people at this point, people have been following me for a
So you're
period of time.
basically referring people to this guy's programs and not getting any commission or anything. You're just doing it because you're like, why the fuck not?
Because I love it. I love the move. I felt so grateful for everything that he's done with his programs. I just feel so indebted to him. I just wanted to help him out. And so at this point, I'm like, you know what? I was like, I want to get an affiliate link. I started hearing about affiliate links, Ty Lopez, I'm making money, whatever. So I'm like, you know what? Yo, Greg, can I get an affiliate link? I'm starting to close these sales. It's like, dude, for sure. So I get an affiliate link, and literally within a week of getting the affiliate link, I remember the first time I made any money. I just got home from, I think a long day at college or whatever. At the time I was taking like 17 credits, was freaking nuts. So I'm chilling. I got my feet propped up on the couch. I grab my phone. I'm on Instagram. I'm scrolling, and then I get this notification at the top, this DM from this guy. And he's like, yo, I got this question about the Greek God program. Can you answer it? Whatever. I'm like, yeah, for sure. So he asked me this question, 10 or 15 minutes go by of, me hitting him up or answering his questions. And then boom, he buys the freaking $50 program, 75% commission from that $50 program I made. And I made freaking $37 in like 12 minutes. I'm like, what the hell? I jump up, I grab my phone, I'm like, Mom, I just made $37 chilling, listening to music with my feet propped up on the couch. She's like, what? I was like, yeah, that's like a whole shift of me working all day, pushing carts in the freezing snow, bagging groceries for these old ladies that are screaming at me because I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah. Dude, they say the first sale you make, even if it's like a small sale like that, it's the one that changes the game for you because that's the moment you realize it's possible.
Dude, that's the moment the earth isn't flat.
Yeah.
It's round.
Yeah, exactly,
and
bro.
you start sailing, bro.
Yeah.
And that's when the journey began. I started sailing, man. And so I started closing more sales and more sales. Eventually, I started making more money than I was bagging groceries, 20 hours a week. And so I'm like, holy crap, I got to figure out a way to gain more followers to grow. And so this leads into basically, as I have this affiliate link, I'm practicing my pitch. I'm starting to practice on my stories. I'm start learning Instagram marketing and start learning sales. And I'm like, you know what, guys, this is the best program I've ever had, whatever. And I got still have the videos of me selling them and making those affiliates, promoting it. And eventually, one of these videos that I pushed out, it caught Greg's attention. And he's like, he slides up on me on the reply, and he's like, dude, this is freaking good, man. He's like, can you create me a Kino Body ad video? And I'm like, dude, hell yeah. And so I'm freaking pumped. I'm like, dude, this is a huge opportunity. So I started doing the math. I'm like, holy crap, if we get freaking $50 program, we get, let's just say 1,000 people to buy, that's $50,000. If I can get, 10%, that's $5,000. If we can do 10x that, then that's $50,000. I'm like, okay, this could be huge for me, right? So then I'm like going all in on creating this ad video. And then this is where me and Greg's connection deepens, because now as I create this ad video, I send him the first draft. I'm like, hey, Greg, what do you think of this? And that's when I start learning sales and online marketing and ads and stuff like that. And he's like, dude, here's what you need to do different. Do this, this, and this, whatever. And so now I'm getting free mentorship and coaching from this guy, and I have his personal phone number now, so which is awesome. So then I do the final take and I film it and I dial it in. And it's freaking awesome. But he's super busy, right? Greg's super busy. So he didn't see my texts. He gets tons of texts. He didn't see my DMs, right? So he didn't ever watch it until I finally got his attention after being persistent. So I had to be very persistent during this. But you have to be elegantly persistent for those of you who are watching. If you just are annoying, you're going to get blocked. You're going to get shut down.
Yes.
100%. So you got to think of creative ways to pattern interrupt or get their attention, right? And add value. So then this leads into when he's promoting on his story. So, beginning of September, kind of middle of September, Greg's like, it's my 28th birthday. It's going to be the biggest or 27th birthday. It's going to be the biggest Kino Body shoot of all time. If you're dedicated and passionate Kino warrior, you've transformed yourself, I want you to be in the video. DM me if you want to come. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take the last of this money that I've saved up all summer working for $1,500, and I'm willing to put that on the line to go down there and be in this video because it'd be the most incredible experience.
So backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
You are closing sales for this man.
Yes.
And then you realize you can actually ask him for an affiliate link.
Yep.
He sends you an affiliate link because you had that transformation that he remembered and reposted, which is how you gained any followers to sell to in the first place.
Yep.
Then you save up the money that you're making from making sales for him to travel, and you spend it all to travel to this shoot that he does in the future. And so you reinvested basically everything you made back into the next step to hopefully gain more access.
Dude, 100%.
Okay.
100%, because I knew that if I could get in person with him, I could sell him on the vision. I could sell him on us working together, and I just knew we'd get along. So, so then
subconsciously, I'm afraid right now that I'm going to have a lot of 15-year-old kids DMing me and showing up to my apartment. So if you're watching this, don't necessarily take that to mean that you have to just fucking blow me up to start working for me. And
Dude,
I'm not going to
100%.
give an affiliate link to just anybody. So just know that.
100%. And you have to add value, guys. So and remember this, before I had ever gotten anything from Greg, I'd bought his programs. I'd already been promoting and telling my friends about it to buy it. So I'd got him dozens and dozens of sales, doing it for free for a while. And eventually, he saw that, that I was providing value, I'll give him an affiliate link. And so, and not everybody's going to do that. He's very generous. So that was really cool of him. So then I reached out to him like, hey man, listen, I'll pay for my own flight. I'll pay for my own hotel. Just let me come and be in the video, bro. And this was Sunday, and the video shoot was on Friday. And he's like, dude, you know what? Fine, man. That's fine. You can come, bro. And in fact, you can even crash in my place. I'm like, what the hell? I can crash at the Keno Mansion? He's like, yeah, bro. I'm like, holy. So I'm freaking out. But the thing though is that I don't have a passport. It's on Friday. It's Sunday. Normally passports take anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks or 12 weeks or whatever. And I tell my mom, like, he said I can go. And my mom's like, there's no way. You're not going. There's no way you can go. I'm like, what do you, I'm like, no, but mom, I'm going. There has to be a way. I'm going to find a way or make one. I'm like, you know what, mom, commit first, figure the rest out later. Grant Cardone, baby. So I immediately start Googling around, and I'm like, there has to be a service out there. There has to be people that have to get passports fast. So I find a freaking website, fastportpassport.com. Shout out to them. They saved me for this one.
The free brand deal.
Yeah, for real.
I'm invoicing you for the next one.
And so I freaking invest in it, get this passport, and I get the passport. It cost like $500. It was nuts. And then the flight last minute was like $1,000. So it was the last of my money. I think I had like less than $200 in my bank after this. And I get the passport the morning of my Thursday flight. And so I still remember I vlogged the whole experience.
Did you already have your bags packed just in case?
Dude, I knew it was coming. I knew the passport was coming because
you just trusted. You could feel it deep in your bones.
I paid for it, bro.
Yeah, okay.
I paid for it. So they're like, hey, I need it here in 3 days. I talked to the lady. I'm like, hey, it has to be here. I have a flight. She's like, yeah, we can do that for you. We'll make it happen. So I had faith that it was going to show up.
They don't call us passport for no reason.
Dude, exactly. Shout out to them. I mean, save me on that one. So I get there, and I still remember it's freaking midnight. It's like 12:27 at night because the flight and the time zone changes to the lawn flight. And so I finally get to the Keno Mansion. I'm driving up. My heart's beating like hella fast. I vlogged the whole experience too. It's on YouTube. It's a day in the life with Keno Body, Gregor Gallagher, Bridget Rogers. So it's mad funny though, because when I pull up, it's dark. I'm in this Uber. I've never traveled before ever in my entire life. I haven't even met this guy. I don't know if he's going to be, weird, creepy. I had faith though he's going to be a cool guy. And in the moment I I knock on the door, he opens it up. I see him walk over, and dude, we were best friends from like the moment we met, man. I was like, dude, what's going on? Like our energy was just, we both had insane energy. And
were you finishing each other's sentences?
Dude, we weren't necessarily finishing each other's sentences, but he just loved my energy because I was just this young, hungry, passionate, he's like, dude, you remind me of me when I was your age. And so
it's always a charming thing to say.
Yeah, it was. And, it was something that, I think really inspired him, because as he started to get, into his older years, it brought that fire back, that young, hungry fire, because he had that chip on his shoulder when he was getting into it. His family, made fun of him for dropping out of college, made fun of him for pursuing this fitness dream, whatever. And now he's, crushing it, and everyone respects him, right? So that's that was like one of the craziest days. So I'm in this video shoot that goes on to do 1.1 million views. I was in this Kino Body ad video shoot. I meet Greg, we connect, we stay in touch. And then from there, one thing I forgot to mention is when I got there, I pitched him on a joint partnership program. I was like, dude, listen, man, here is what you need, bro. I've noticed a problem. So people that buy your programs, not everyone follows through on it, right? They don't all get the best results. Dude, what you need to do is come out with a program that helps these guys follow through. And so I was going to call it the Kino Body Execution Program, right? And so I later went on to create that program myself. It's called the Freedom Schedule Blueprint. And basically it helps guys who struggle to find the time or the motivation to work out. It helps them structure their day, take control of their time, and really, get freedom in their life, right? And so from there, I pitched him on that idea. He shot me down. Then I pitched him on another idea. And he's like, not right now, whatever. I pitched him on a third idea. He's like,
This is all when you're at his house. You pitched him 3 different ideas.
So this was separated. So after I got home, I called him up a couple weeks later, and I thought of another idea, and I pitched him. Then a couple more
and
months go
you
by.
have his number, and you're texting him all this stuff?
I'm texting him.
And he's always responding.
So I learned how to get people's attention.
Yeah.
I'm like, Greg, give me 5 minutes. I have a way that we can 10x Kino Body in 90 days. And so
my man's been studying persuasion. Like, some of these people who DM me, that's like, dude, like, come on.
Dude,
like,
you have to put yourself in the other person's shoes.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? If I was Greg and I was super busy and I wanted to get my attention, what would be of value to me? I was like, you know what? I'd want to grow up the company. I'd want to grow the company or whatever. So that's what I did. And so on the last idea, this was after. So when I met Greg, I had like barely 1,200 followers. But he inspired me that, like, dude, like, you can make this happen. You can make this, when you meet somebody that has an elevated self-image or self-esteem or like self-confidence, self-belief, it'll change you forever, because your level of belief in yourself immediately it elevates. So imagine the way that my mentor describes it is, imagine, this guy's a 95 degreer. Greg's a 95 degreer for life. He's crushing. He's making, whatever, a 95 degree is. He's got $1 million in the bank, whatever. And you're down here at freaking 55 degrees. You're broke. When you hang out with somebody that is at 95 degrees, automatically those two meet and you kind of come up in the middle somewhere. So you jump radically. So that's what happened with me, is I got inspired. So now I started reaching out to other people, trying to figure out how to grow on Instagram so I can make more affiliate sales, make more money for him, right? And so eventually it was freaking luck. I was posting this content and this guy reaches out to me, shout out to Ethan Kelly, and he's like, bro, your content's good, man, but dude, I don't know how you don't have freaking 10x more followers. He's like, here's my 10-step formula for how I blow up on Instagram. So we connected. I take his strategies, and then, of course, I reach out to other people and start taking their strategies. And he just gave it to you for free? Yeah. Just gave it to me for free, man, because he liked my passion. That's what happens when you are not afraid to be yourself.
Yeah. You
share your passion, and you've got a mission, you've got a vision, and that's what happens, is that you attract these things. So I said I wanted 10,000 followers, and then within a couple of weeks of me writing that goal down and me committing to figuring out how to make that happen, that plan came to me. So I see a lot of people look at what they have in their life right now, and they're like, here's what I've got to play with right now. Here's what I have. And they try to build their dream life around that. And that's the worst way you could be doing it if you want to live the best life you want to live. The way you should be doing it is, you know what? I'm here. I don't have the resources I need, but what do I want? Ask yourself, what do you want? And really figure out what it is, the kind of life you want, and then commit to it and start taking steps towards it. Start taking just a little bit of steps towards it and believe that it'll happen. And eventually you'll meet someone, you'll connect with someone, you'll come across an idea. And if you believe that it'll happen in God's timing, it will happen. And so that's what happened with me. And that's why I found this guy that helped me grow my followers. And then boom, as soon as I implemented the strategies, I'd spent previously a year and a half trying to grow my Instagram. Barely had, I didn't even grow unless Greg gave me a shout out. And then now I had a sustainable way to consistently grow on Instagram using these tactics and strategies. And so I blew up from, 1,000 followers to 10,000 followers in 7 weeks back at the end of 2018. And so immediately my sales started going up. I launched my own program, the Freedom Schedule Blueprint. And then I was like, you know what? I just thought this idea. I'm making all this money. I'm one of the top Kino Body affiliates. What if, instead of, how the big companies, the Gymsharks, whatever, they go to influencers and they hire them to promote their stuff, right? Pay them millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Well, what if we were to take our most dedicated and passionate followers, Kino warriors, and give them the tools, the tactics, and the strategies to blow up an Instagram and become influencers from scratch? What if we were to take our people that transformed and give them the platform to be influencers? And they paid us for that.
And this was an idea you pitched him.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I thought of this and I came up with it. I'm like, dude, this could be nuts. And then what if we give them affiliate links? And so it's a huge opportunity. Who doesn't want to? So basically the offer became how to grow from 0 to 10,000 followers in 90 days and start making hundreds, if not thousands of dollars per month as a Kinobody affiliate, promoting the programs, and then, become a Kinobody affiliate. That was the offer. And so I pitched it to him. He loved it. He loved the idea. Dude, that's freaking genius. Let's do it. He said yes at the end of 2019. I was still in college at the time. And I was like, you know what? If you want to take the island, you got to burn your boats. And so I dropped out of college against my parents' will. And they were supporting me, but they were like, I think you should just do both. What happens if it doesn't work out? And I'm like, you know what? I don't care if it doesn't work out. I'm going to make it work. And so I committed, and I dropped out, and I spent the next month and a half spending the every single day, 8 or 10 hour days, 8, 10, 12 hour days, literally just working and trying to create a badass revolutionary program that will get insane results for people, and in the program. And so eventually, I didn't have a job, and it got to the point where I was running on less than $500 in my bank account. And Greg, he was busy with his other projects, and I'm like, I need to find a way to get some money, right? And the one thing I learned early on during this whole thing, Patrick, is that you're the only one that's going to make things happen. You're the only one that's going to steer your ship. You're the only one that's going to put money in your bank account. You're the only one that's going to transform your dreams into reality. You're the only one. And you have to fight for it, and you have to push for it, and you have to be persistent. Because things will come up, other things, if you aren't persistent and consistent. And so I pitched Greg another idea, which was, hey, bro, I know that you got, stuff going on. How about I just launch it on my own with my own platform and do a beta test so we have testimonials for when we launch? He's like, dude, great idea, bro. Let's do it. And I was like, yeah, is it cool if I keep 100% of the profit since I'm creating the website and doing everything just to see if it works? He's like, yeah, for sure. So I hyped this thing up. This is my first product launch ever. I hyped this thing up and boom, I do $5,000 the first day. I'm like, holy, dude, this is freaking nuts. And then I go on to do $20,000 in the month of March. And so for me, this was just nuts because, at the time, previously the money that I'd made before was like $7 or, $9 an hour. So being able to make that much money, it completely shifted my mindset and frame for, making money and being successful online. And so, Patrick, I want to hear your thoughts. When was like the first moment you really made some serious money in a short amount of time and it like shifted your paradox or your frame for being able to make money and live your dreams?
It was the day I launched my book, 107 Proven Ways to Get the Girl. Because before then, it was still a little bit of a pipe dream because I wasn't really making much money. But at the time, I probably had like 4,000 or 5,000 subscribers on YouTube. I had like a few hundred people on my email list just from grinding on YouTube. But what really set me up for success was I operated under the belief that the more value I added to the marketplace, it would eventually come back around to me. And so every day I woke up and I wrote a fresh email newsletter that was packed with content to all of my email list. And it was, it started out slow with 4 or 5 people the day I dropped out of dental school and then grew by not much at all, right? Because 2 years later is when I dropped my book and released it. So in that 2 years, I accumulated a few hundred followers, on my email list. But every day I was showing up for them. Every day I was delivering content-driven 1,500 word emails. Just telling them how to do things, answering their questions, engaging with them, and then every now and then telling them to go watch my video on YouTube, right? And so when I dropped my book, it was January 30th, 2018. And keep in mind, I knew about 6 months the whole time I was writing the book. I got the inspiration to write the book in April of 2017. And so from April, I started studying the marketing I needed to, but I knew the fucking plan. It hit me like a moment of inspiration, which is a whole other story as well. But I knew that me creating this book, it was going to work. In my head, this was everything that I had led up to, because the only reason I was able to write the sales letter on the current page that sells the book, the free book, by the way, you just pay shipping and handling, that sales letter, the day I launched it, 100 sales of the book.
Wow.
I had already sold out my entire inventory. I only had enough money in my savings to buy 100 copies of the book.
Holy shit, the first day you sold out.
Yeah.
Did you sell out from cold traffic, affiliates?
My email list.
Just your email list?
My email list.
How many people did you have on your email list?
386.
386, and
Yeah.
so you had like a 30% conversion rate, essentially.
Everybody who landed on the page bought it and
you
bought
serious?
additional programs, like the upsells.
Damn. So everybody that landed on your sales page bought your book?
Not every single person, but I made 100 sales. So
Okay.
I had 386 on my email list and like a couple grand on YouTube. So I went live on YouTube that day. I put a link. I shot it out on my Instagram, which basically had no followers. And then my email list, of course, was highly engaged because I was delivering value for them every day for the last 2 years. And so the day I dropped the book, it was also like the first time not only is the book great, but I'm to this day, the only dating coach who has a physical book that's free plus shipping.
You're the only dating coach?
Only one. And I even told,
Are you sure?
yeah.
Damn, that's nuts, bro. Congrats, bro. Dude, that's impressive.
So, but here's the thing. All the other dating coaches, I'm pretty tight with them because they all promoted my book and helped me grow my list. You know, that's a whole other thing. Made it a lot of affiliate sales for me, you know? And so like Bobby Rio, one of the first people who I even heard of as a dating coach, is one of my top affiliates for the book. Right. And so that's a whole other story. I had like a big affiliate launch and I had 20 of the top dating coaches. But here's the thing. The only reason I got my foot in the door with all those affiliates offering value, I had already launched my book. It was doing well for me, obviously, and for the affiliates because I knew one or two of them. And all you need is one affiliate to start. And if they get results, then they'll keep mailing for you and you're getting data and more data and more data. And then you can take that data and say, hey, to the next affiliate, whether you know them or not, and just go, yo, this person who has a big list mailed for this offer, got this result, and they did good. And so I believe that because your audience is very similar, you would also do very well commission wise promoting this offer. And so that's the name of the game. And so doing that with a few people who I had known and built a relationship with over the 2 years previous, I had affiliates right off the bat that could test my offer. And by that point, because the sales letter was converting, people were buying the book and we kept buying more inventory so we could keep selling more books. I kind of got led into this private group of where all the dating coaches kind of help each other out and kind of trade secrets, if you will. And so I got into the group, and the first thing I did when I got in the group was I made sure that I came in, people knew who the fuck I was. I wanted to put my flag down. I'm here. I'm Patrick James. I'm Raw Dating Advice. And I've been fucking working up to this moment for the last 2 years. And so I started giving value. And so I wrote it over like 3 or 4 blog posts, everything I did to put together my free plus shipping offer, how I wrote the copy, how I got it to convert, what it's been converting at. And then at the end, I made the offer, which was, I have an upcoming affiliate contest. Do you want to promote my book? And so, and you'll get these commissions, and we're bumping up commissions rates to 100% commission, things like this. And so I said in the sales letter that I wrote for them, so if you do the math, if these affiliates are doing these numbers at 75% commission, well, if you have similar success that they do, and we bump it up to 100%, here's what those numbers would have been if they were receiving 100% commission. And so I had all the top affiliates, 20 of them, mailing my book for 2 weeks like every day for 2 weeks, all of them just mailing to this book. And we sold thousands and thousands of copies in that 2-week period. And I was just like buying more books, telling them, hey, we got to restock the inventory again. And so to this day, that sales letter I wrote is the highest converting version of that sales letter. And so I haven't changed the sales page at all. Anytime I change it, I decrease the conversion rate. And so anyways, Raw Dating Advice has gained a lot of momentum. Even before that, my branding was off. I wasn't even branding myself as a dating coach. I was calling myself a charisma consultant because I was like, oh, it's different. Nobody's heard of it. But most guys don't go to bed at night thinking I need more charisma. They think I need to know how to get the girl.
Exactly.
And so I pivoted. It was the same advice, but now I'm a dating coach and I'm owning it. And I'm Raw Dating Advice, #Raw Dating Advice, right? And ever since then, it kind of started gaining a little bit of momentum, right? Enough momentum to where I can launch my book and get 100 people buying my book on day one. And so if you're out there and you're struggling, especially if it's business related, Like, you just need that first front end converting offer to bring people in the door and give you just like, if someone's willing to pay $7.95 for shipping and handling, and literally that's the cost it cost me to have this company print these books, store these books in their warehouse, and then when I get an order and I send it to them, have someone physically walk up, take that book off the bookshelf, pack it in the fucking package, and ship it to your door. That process cost me about $7, and I charge $7.95. It's like $7.78, right?
Really?
Yeah. So my margin is none. It's literally a free book. You just pay shipping and handling, right? And so for me, if someone's willing to trade $7.95 to receive my book, even though I don't necessarily profit from that sale, that's still someone investing towards me. And if you know anything about human influence, psychology, persuasion, commitment, and consistency, when they make that commitment, even though it's $7, a measly $7, that's still more than, hey, I'm subscribed to this other person's YouTube channel and I've never paid him $1.
Exactly.
You know, and so
100%. A buyer's a buyer.
Exactly. And so now my list has quality people on there, because I don't let the freebies, the tire kickers on my list. To be on my email list and receive those emails where I'm fucking giving value every day, you have to get the book. And so I'm having a list of highly engaged people who are actually taking action on my shit. That's because sick, the book is written to be consumed easily. And so, yeah, we've been gaining a lot of momentum, and it's really crazy to hear like how you were such a raving fan. So I have a couple thoughts going back to your story, because it's the only reason we went on that tangent in the first place.
Yeah.
But hearing that you were such a raving fan of Kino Body's program, so much so that you were willing to send him fucking sales. You were telling other people about it, word of mouth, right? I find that inspiring, not only from your point, but also from Kino Body's standpoint, because how do I create someone who's gotten such good results from my book and my programs to where they are just telling everybody they know about this shit? You got to get on this shit, right? And then how does that become the spark for them to improve not only just their dating life, but now also financial freedom too, to where they're like, hey, I've made enough sales for you. Would you be willing to send me an affiliate link? I've proved myself as an affiliate. That's inspiring. The other part that's inspiring about that is because you knew I'm making some sales, and I don't even know if you had an affiliate link at this time, but you realize I need to get more followers on Instagram so I can make more affiliate sales. I know this because every dating coach I know is basically an affiliate. There's not a lot of them that are just making sales for themselves. Most of them, 80% of them, the 80-20 rule, 80% of dating coaches I know only make money by promoting other people's products, right? And I guarantee most of them are not thinking, what value can I add to make more sales for this affiliate? It's more of like a personal gain rather than a value add for most affiliates. So
it's a taker mentality.
It's
what
a
can I take?
Exactly.
What can I take versus what can I give?
Exactly.
And that's what I think Greg's key is that he focuses on every single one of his products. What do I need to put into this product to give my customers the best experience possible? Every single one of his products, he thinks of it that way. And he also creates his programs. He told me, I still remember one of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten from him is I asked him, I was like, Greg, how do I figure out, like, this was when I was 17, interviewing him in 2017 about entrepreneurship. I'm like, Greg, you know, how do you figure out, you know, what you're supposed to do with entrepreneurship? There's so many different things you could be doing. You know what he told me? He's like, here's what you need to do, Bridget. It's simple. Find a problem that you have for yourself and solve that problem. And if you solve that problem better than anybody else, ask people if they want you to solve it for them. Give that, you know, solution as offer that in the marketplace. As simple as that. So that's what I did. I was like, you know what? Why was there not a program out there teaching me how to blow up my followers and become influential on camera, on video? And then, you know, I wish I would have, if I was a Kino warrior and this guy comes out and he's like, he partners with Greg, hey, Kino Gladiator program, you can make money, you know, with the program, I would freaking buy that. And so I create products and programs that I would buy myself. I think that's the biggest key, is that you have to find something that aligns with you and not try to find something that aligns with someone else. And that's what he does, is he only creates products and programs that he loves. And when he's 100% owns his stuff, you lead by example. And that's when other people start to follow us, because you're leading by example. Right.
The other thing that I found very intriguing about that aspect of your story as well is this man who likely made money teaching people how to grow on Instagram, gave it to you for free because he saw your passion. And the only other time that I've heard a similar story, because being in personal development, you listen to people's audiobooks, you listen to videos that are motivational, inspirational, you know, and you hear like, be passionate, you know, do what you're passionate about and whatnot. And then you think, but how does that pay my bills? How does passion pay my fucking bills? And most people kind of just leave it at that and they don't actually implement. And so the only other story I heard, which is very ironic, I don't know if you know this, but I used to work on Dean Graziosi's marketing team with Brian and Ryan and those guys. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
For about 6 months. But by this point, this was after my book had already launched. So I was already making about $10K a month for myself, just with my free book, you know, because people buy additional courses, right? When I was working for Dean, and I was making a fraction of that working as an employee. And so it reached a breaking point to where about 6 months later, it just made more sense for me to go off and do my own thing. And then, you know, a year later, and now I'm like hoping to hit 7 figures this year as a company. And that's like, I mean, that just shows the power of getting that first converting offer for you if you're trying to build an offer online. So when I was working with Dean, he told a story about how, you know, because Dean Graziosi, for the viewers or listeners who don't know, he got a lot of money and really wealthy investing in real estate, doing, don't quote me on this, I believe it was fix and flips. Was it fix and flips?
I think it was fix and flips, yeah.
Okay. So he was doing real estate, became a multimillionaire, and then he started selling programs on how to become a real estate investor and become a millionaire like him, right? So he's been on TV for decades doing this, infomercials, right?
Yep.
He said before he got into real estate, he didn't have enough money to invest in this first real estate deal, but he was interested in it and he was hustling every day, working as a mechanic in his own fucking garage.
I remember that.
Right? And he said one customer came in and saw that he had the passion to, even though he didn't want to be a mechanic, he wanted to be an investor. The way he would talk about it, and he would also have so much passion and go-getter attitude with his mechanic, even though it wasn't the work he wanted to be doing, he was putting his passion into it still because he had to do it. And he just is that guy who has to do everything the best he possibly can. And he said one customer saw the passion, heard his dream about becoming a real estate investor, gave him $100,000 to go invest in his first real estate deal, just because of passion. Now that's even hearing that story, I'm like, did he really give you $100,000? Like, I don't know if I fully believe it, but you hear that, but then you hear a story like yours, and shit like that actually does happen, because had that not happened, you wouldn't be where you are today.
Dude, 100%.
Same with him.
Same thing, man. And it's it's insane, because when you put out an energy where you're loving what you're doing, you're on your path, you know, you feel like this is what you're created for. There's 3 things that I think put you on that path that I believe in. Is you have to be, number one, you have to be insanely passionate about it. You have to love it. That's step 1. But the second thing is that you have to be naturally good. It has to be one of your natural God-given gifts or abilities, right? And the third thing is there has to be either a money-making opportunity or a market or a problem or a need in the marketplace, right? Because if you're super passionate about underwater basket weaving and you're really good at it, but nobody wants to buy it, it's not going to do anything. Nobody's going to, nobody's going to buy that, right? But you have to be in that alignment. I think that's so cool. I remember hearing that story from Dean as well, and in being passionate, because I think that one of the universal principles is that how you do one thing is how you do everything.
So true.
And so I think that he saw that he was doing.
I'm a pothead in one place, I'll be a pothead everywhere else, motherfuckers.
Dude, 100%. I mean, how you show up to your relationships, how you're going to show up to your business, how you show up in your fitness, is how you're going to show up everywhere else. So I think that having a congruency with, your life is, I think, where the power comes from. And I think that's what Dean was doing, is he had the congruency of passion, even when that wasn't necessarily what his main passion was. Because he knew, that's one thing he knew, is he knew that this was a vehicle to get him where he wanted to be. And so even though he wasn't passionate about the actual physical thing, he was passionate about where he was going to be.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's fucking good shit, bro.
Dude, it's been fire, bro.
What have we not covered? Tell us about what Bridget Rogers does in his free time. Here's what I'm curious about.
Okay.
All right, so I've been following you on Instagram since you moved here, basically when we first met.
Okay.
And I'm noticing that you're always working out in like these big ass mansions. And I'm pretty sure you don't live in a big ass mansion, do you? Or maybe you do. Are you balling like that?
I mean, I don't work out in big ass mansion. No.
There was like this staircase of like stone that comes out of the wall. And you were doing pull-ups on it.
That's my girlfriend's house.
No shit. Damn. Is that her house or her parents' house?
Well, it's her parents' house. Yeah.
It's a fat house.
Yeah, it's sick.
Yeah.
Newport Beach. Yeah.
That's the type of house I'm trying to go to next year when I move out of this place.
Dude, it's sick, man. I mean, yeah, no, I mean, it comes down to, just you gotta get the right girlfriend, I guess, until you can make it yourself. But
yeah. You know what's funny about Kate? So he met Kate. Kate lives here, obviously, and she's probably hearing us say her name multiple times right now. But what's funny is when I first started dating her, I was in the process of writing my book, and so I already had the blueprint. And I already knew, I just fucking knew it was going to work. I just had to finish the fucking book. Right. And so, we started dating around that time, right before I started making any money. And, so I was barely scraping by to pay the bills. And I remember she was a server and she worked at Tilted Kilt. She worked at a nightclub. She just got a job doing bottle service at Bottle Blonde. And I was like, yo, that's cool. She's got all these. And I just knew, because I've had serving experience, girls just make higher tips because they're girls.
Dude, 100%.
Right. And so I just assume she's balling. Right. But it's summertime, so restaurants aren't really that busy in Arizona during the summer. So she wasn't balling, but she made a comment like, well, I got to work so much just in case I got to start paying your bills. And I was like, oh, I got a sugar mama. Like, I was like, nice. Yeah. And then after I started making money, she told me how much money she actually had in her bank account. And I realized this girl was paying for my drinks at clubs. She was buying dinner sometimes. And it wasn't like, obviously I would pay, but she would offer to pay sometimes, at least half the time. And I respected her more for it.
Wow.
Just for putting in even making the offer. And that was just kind of, for me, I didn't like a girl who felt so entitled that she had to make a guy pay for her, and it was just assumed, and if you didn't, you're a dickhead, right? If a girl makes the offer, I respect her way, way more.
100%.
And so she would pay for my shit, and I thought she was fucking balling because she's a female server. But she wasn't balling. I forget so I didn't have a sugar mama like you, but I was definitely interested at the time.
Oh man, no, I feel you, bro. But dude, we need to jump into dating before we hop off here, because
yes,
I definitely have some things for the guys that will definitely help them.
So here's what what I learned from Brian, who I'm interviewing on Sunday.
Okay.
So he will be one of the episodes that these guys can binge watch.
Brian's the homie. You have to listen to the whole interview.
Brian, if you've ever been annoyed by seeing Chris the Mexican from my team on my YouTube ads, and we're flashing the YouTube ads everywhere on YouTube in front of you, Brian is the guy who makes that happen. He runs the YouTube ads. So he's the YouTube ads guru, the YouTube ads genius. And so Brian told me he met Bridger because another dating coach that Brian was running YouTube ads for, Bridger had apparently invested in that guy's course.
Yep.
As we all know by this point, Bridger is an investor and an implementer, and then eventually becomes connected to whoever is coaching him.
Yep.
So then he became connected to the dating coach, and then the dating coach who Brian was running their ads was like, yo, you should meet this guy Bridger. He's a real cool dude, and he's moving to Scottsdale. Is that kind of right?
Dude, 100% right.
Okay. So then how did that lead into you dating? So I think that's kind of how you got into dating, right?
Well, you know what? That guy's he was good, but I actually invested in his coaching, not for the dating. I invested in his coaching because I loved his funnel so much, his marketing.
Okay.
So this is when I was working for Kino Body, and immediately I was watching a video on YouTube, and his ad stopped me in my tracks. It was the most genuine, real ad. I watched the whole thing, clicked the link, watched the whole video, and bought right there.
Okay.
And I don't buy very often. It has to be really fucking good, right? And so, but when I do buy, I go 100% in. So I bought it, and I bought every single upsell, all the way to where he had a 45-minute call for like $300.
He's serious about his, like, so there's some people, I guess I'm trying to increase my upsell take rate. I'm just kidding. But like, some people think, oh, I'll buy the upsell if the book's any good. I've had someone email the support back when I was doing my own support. I don't do that anymore for obvious fucking reasons, because you don't want to be once you stop scrubbing your toilets, you're never going to go back to scrubbing toilets. I'm just saying. So think about it. People don't email customer support if they're happy. So you get the cream of the crop. It's only a small percentage, but the percentage makes a lot of noise.
It's true.
So I had a guy who got sent over to my book sales page through an affiliate, and this guy didn't have a really good quality list anyways. And it's like the toxic pickup artist mentality type of list, right? And so this guy goes, well, let me see some infield before I decide to buy your book. I'm like, the book's fucking free. And he goes, well, send me the ebook version so I can make a judgment on if I want to pay for the physical book. And this guy was just a taker. And I said, honestly, man, you're probably not the right person to buy the book. I don't recommend you buy my book. In fact, please don't. If you do, I'll end up refunding you and not sending you the book. And I told him that. And because I don't want someone like that on my team. I only want the cream of the crop joining Raw Dating Advice. And to be the cream of the crop, you don't have to have the skills. That's why you're on Raw Dating Advice. You just have to have the right mentality. You can't be a taker. You got to be a giver. You can't be a skeptical Sally. You got to be a fucking action taker, bro.
I love it, bro.
So I told him not to buy my book. And then he threatened to go find it on torrent and then blast it out everywhere and expose it. And I said, bro, it's already free. Thank you for the free marketing. And then I blocked his ass.
That's what you have to do with the takers, bro. You block them and you forget about them. That's what I do.
Yeah.
The block and forget method. But that's so funny. So with my journey with dating, bro, it's a funny story, man. It's a funny story. I used to suck. That was probably because at this point I grew up, just to give you some background. I grew up in North Idaho. It's a very Christian, very traditional way of looking at dating. And my parents even told me I wasn't allowed to date until I was 18. Wasn't even allowed to date. Wasn't even allowed to talk to girls. And so, of course, that didn't happen. I convinced them to date when I was 17. So I started getting out in the field at 17. And, immediately I knew that you had to learn. So I started, basically learning. The first thing I screwed up on was texting girls. I had no idea how to text girls. And
Most guys don't.
The biggest thing that I found, Patrick, and for those of you guys who are listening, the biggest thing that you can do for texting girls is stop asking questions. That's the biggest thing you can do. Girls hate questions. Statements and commands. Statements and commands. That's all I do. Statements and commands. If I'm about to type something, it's not a statement or command. Delete, retype it. Statements and commands. And I'm going to give you right now the best text message freaking date setup ever. This works literally 9 times out of 10. I've literally gotten so many.
I can see why we had a mutual client, because obviously we both are interested in the same things.
Dude, 100%, Patrick. And so if you guys are ready, grab a piece of paper, grab a pencil, grab your journal, whatever. You're going to want to write this down. You say, listen, I've got Thursday free, or whatever day it is, right? Period. Let's grab ice cream at, blank ice cream place. They have the best exotic ice cream in Coeur d'Alene or in all Idaho or whatever. Period. Cancel all plans. We are going. Boom. Send. Simple as that. There's not one question in there. It shows that you're a freaking alpha from the start, so it sets the bar high. And the biggest thing that I found when it comes to girls is you have to take them along the emotional wheel. Because if they know what's coming, they're going to be bored. They're not going to show up. And you have to freaking always be bouncing around. So if you're being, you need to be kind of like arrogant, kind of asshole-ish, be kind of like cocky. And then what you need to do is bring it back like, hey, all games aside, you need to be like that real nice, genuine, raw, real guy. And that's the biggest thing that I found. And it translates into your relationship. It translates into everything. So that right there is one of the biggest things that I would say 100% that's worked for me.
Interesting. So what if you said something like, hey, let's go grab basement. Let's go grab ice cream in my mom's basement. It's got no furniture. The walls are made of concrete. But clear your plans.
It'd work. Say, listen. You make a
what
joke.
If you
out
have
of it.
nowhere
Exaggerate it. Make a joke out of it.
What if there's nowhere to get ice cream though nearby?
You pick something.
Does it have
else,
to be
bro.
ice cream?
Come on, it could be anything. Anything.
Okay.
So what I meant to say was it could be anything.
Let's go pick up some weed
pizza.
from my drug dealer. I'm just kidding.
I mean, it could be anything. So you pick something. You pick your favorite place. And the biggest thing that I also found is don't try to be a nice guy. Be like, oh, I wonder what she would like. I wonder what, that comes later when you're in the relationship.
Yeah.
Right now you need to worry about you because you don't even know if this person's worth your time yet. Be nice to. So you need to be like, you know what, where do I want to go? If I'm going to spend my time, even if she's, boring, whatever, I'm going to at least enjoy the food, enjoy the meal. Right.
Yeah.
That's what you want to do. So pick pizza, whatever your favorite place is. Or I was teaching guys during quarantine how to do quarantine dates. It's funny. I actually did a dating offer. I said, you know what, let's send it. I did a dating offer and brought on like a couple coaching clients just for fun. And that was fun. It's the funniest. It's so fun working with guys that are getting, helping them get unghosted where they're getting results. But so I think it could be anything. I think that the thing is that the girls don't care if you have any money. If you are, there's three things that I think a girl is looking for, right? First off, they're looking for obviously money. That's the gold diggers, right? And if you leverage that point, you're never gonna know if you have a real genuine relationship. But if you're just trying to get laid, it'll work. The second thing is fame. Fame is like a 100x multiplier, because for some reason girls like a guy that has massive social proof, right? And the third thing, which is obviously is that good looks do work. Good looks work, and I think that if you can somehow also play off of the fourth one, which is confidence. Girls, they want a guy that's certain, that's confident, that's alpha, that's a leader, right?
So I'm going to play the devil's advocate here.
Okay, let's go.
So if a girl, so the three things, looks work. Sometimes the gold diggers are looking for money.
You have to have the confidence, though, underneath all of them.
And then what was the third thing?
Fame.
Fame. All right. So devil's advocate. So are you saying that if a guy does not have fame or good looks or any money, then he is worse off on landing the girl?
If he could be. I think that 100%, if you give a guy good looks, a nice car, a nice place, wealth, freedom, and you give him fame, I think that he's going to beat the guy that has as long as, like, if the guy with confidence, like, confidence is the number one. Above everything else, confidence and being a girl feeling safe and secure is the number one thing. 100%. So you don't need that stuff. Yeah. And in fact, I actually told my guys that it's better that you're broke now. Yeah. Finding your dream girl if you're trying to find a relationship, because otherwise you're never really going to know if it's 100% real.
The reason I asked that question is because I didn't start really making any real money until I got into a relationship, honestly. So the entire time, all the stories I told you yesterday, all the stories I've told this motherfucker, all the stories in my book, I was a broke ass motherfucker.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
And also my entire fucking life, I've been the fat kid and I've been the guy who thought I can't get girls because I have a big nose. I have a big fucking nose. All right.
I didn't even notice that till now.
Yeah, because I got swag for days, brother.
Dude, that's mad funny.
Yeah, so
you probably weren't famous either. You weren't like the captain of your football field. That was your best friend.
That was my best friend. I was in the shadow.
But you had to work on your personal development and your confidence before you got the girl?
Straight up.
Okay, good.
It was the self-belief.
Okay, good. Self-belief and confidence. That's what I think is the
willingness to take action and improve along the way.
And courageous. That comes from confidence, though. Courage.
I had no confidence. I told the story.
You didn't have any confidence when you're picking up your girls?
When I started.
Oh, when you started. Okay.
I got confidence as I saw progress.
Yes.
But I was telling him the other day, it was on the Dating Advice channel, literally the first approach I did, because here's how fucking shielded I was. Kind of like how you've never heard of the flat earth theory. I was the same way. I didn't know it was a thing to approach women. For the first 22 years of my life, I didn't know people did that. I had heard of pickup artists, but I thought that was like a fad, kind of like scooters,
Wow.
And so when I would go out to bars and nightclubs with my friends from college, my social circle, I would just talk to my friends while I was there. And I would even complain, I can't even hear my friends talking while we're at this club because the music's so loud. But I didn't realize, you can talk to girls that you don't know and actually pick them up. And by the way, you don't have to do that at a bar or nightclub too. You can do it anywhere where you see a girl that you think is attractive. So I was so shielded and sheltered that I didn't even realize it was a thing. So when I realized that was a thing, I was like, oh shit, okay, well let's go try it. I was so fucking nervous. And I'm normally like, I had a reputation in college, and this is around the time where I had zero game. I had a reputation in college. Patrick is just as surprised at the words that come out of his mouth as everyone else, because I just have no filter and I own it, right? And so I had no problem just talking, but the strategy was wrong. I didn't know how to attract. I didn't know how to create tension. I didn't know any of that stuff. And so when I approached, it was like anything I'd ever known about conversation just out the window. Is like you're fucking blank. And so the first couple of times I talked to a girl I didn't know, I couldn't speak above a whisper because all of a sudden my mouth was dry, my throat was dry, and I had to keep drinking water to fucking clear my throat so I could speak. I couldn't speak above a whisper. And then the third girl I approached, I was just so awkward that she gave me her phone number because she felt sorry for me.
Did she ever text you back?
Oh, and by the way, when I got into game, no, she never. She told me not to text her because she was engaged.
Oh, she gave you her number.
Yeah,
dude, that's mad funny.
So
that reminds me of a story that I'll tell you. Remind me, I have a funny ass story that. Yeah.
Okay, we'll get into that. I had braces this entire time. I had braces from the age of 20 to 24. Okay, imagine that. A lot of the stories I tell about me going, like, losing my virginity, getting into dating advice, getting into dental school, like all this stuff. I had fucking braces, picking up chicks with braces and a big ass fucking nose and no confidence.
No money.
With no money.
Nobody knows who you are. Not famous.
No fame. Right?
And the looks, you say the looks aren't there.
I thought I was an ugly dude. I thought, because you don't have any, you're trying to explain, you just try to make sense of why you're not getting the girls. So you think it's because, I need to be buff, I need to be ripped. I was ripped. I got ripped. I did P90X, like I said, every day for 3 years. And then I got buff after that. I wasn't getting girls. I had braces, so I thought it was a braces. I had a big nose. I thought it was a big nose. I thought there had to be something wrong with me.
It's the energy and the confidence, right?
It was because I was too nice. It was, at the end of the day, I was just really just too nice. And so me overcoming the nice guy behaviors was me learning that I could approach women, and then learning when you approach them, don't be so fucking nice right off the bat. Don't be the guy who tries to get to know everything about them and have the interview and ask them fucking questions you don't give a shit about, right? I was great at connecting with women. I was terrible at attracting them, which is why I wrote my book. Like you said, you get good at something that you struggled with, and then you get so good that you get other people to want to hear your input, and you ask them if they'd be interested in hearing your advice, right?
Yep.
That was me. And so I wrote the book, 107 Proven Ways to Get the Girl, as the front end of my business, as the person who greets you at the fucking door, the free book teaching you how to attract women, because that was the shit I was missing when I was guy who had no confidence, trying to figure out why I'm not getting any girls, but great at holding conversation because I have no filter, right? So whether you're not, you have no filter, or you're introverted, or you just blabbermouth like me, if you don't know how to attract her, you're not going to attract her, period. And so that's why I wrote the book. And that's why it's about attraction, right?
I love it, bro. That's fire, bro. Drop the mic, bro.
Yeah.
Drop the mic.
I get into it.
Dude, I love it, bro.
Yeah.
That's incredible story, man. I mean, I think that's where it all I think that's, you know what I think? That's why I think so many guys look up to you, is because you have the hero's journey.
Yeah.
Because what I teach right now is I'm teaching guys basically how to do what I do, which is how to become, a respected fitness influencer on Instagram, grow on Instagram, and things like that. And so one of the things that I tell them is it doesn't matter if you have the most insane physique ever. It doesn't matter if you have the most insane Brad Pitt genetics or physique or body ever, because guys don't care what you look like if you didn't look like them right now. If you can't connect to them, the connection is the biggest thing when it comes to your audience. Like, you being able to tell that story. Guys have something about them that they don't like. For me, it was me being skinny, so I can relate to you on, the big nose thing, right? And everybody out there has a deficiency. We're not perfect. And so them being able to connect to you on that, and then you going on your journey, now living your dreams, they now believe that you can guide them there too. And so I think that that's like just such a cool story to hear, and that whole journey, because there's so many guys that can relate to that, having the braces, losing your virginity, like 21, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nuts, man. So
he's like, I'm not even 21 yet.
Yeah. So I mean, that's awesome, bro. So, man, that's a hell of a story though, bro. 107 ways. Dude, you know what's funny? When I first met you and heard of you, I was like, 107 ways. Where'd the number 107 come from?
So one of the first, I actually met this guy in person when I was working for Dean, but Russell Brunson. So I had been learning about online marketing, learning how to build my business, because I dropped out of dental school. I had to figure it out, and I knew nothing. All I knew was email list, ebook. Okay. But how to sell it, how to write the copy. And I didn't know any of that by the time I dropped out. But when I dropped out, I didn't know what I didn't know. I thought I knew, but I didn't know. I was like, oh, you just make an ebook and throw it online, and you're a millionaire. And honestly, I didn't, even the book, that 107 Proven Ways to Get the Girl, when my mentality shifted from this is how you make money to provide results and you will make money, that's when I started making money, right?
Dude,
when I
100%.
became results focused. And that was a big lesson learned for me back in 2016 when I first fucking was like creating more products and stuff, right? So anyways.
Here, I want to stop you right there. That is such a fire thing he just said right there, is that when he shifted from focusing on making money, which is essentially making money or taking money from people.
It's like I give the value so you'll buy my shit.
Exactly. When he shifted from taking money, trying to trick them or take their money.
I was not tricking them. Here's the thing. My product was still good.
It was good? Wait.
I still sell it to this day. It's a magnetic personality formula. I put everything I know into it, right? So I figured I put it, it's good. Why are people not buying it? And so I had to learn the marketing, right? And so it wasn't until I learned how to be a marketer and how to give value that I started actually selling anything. But the product itself was great. Like I still sell it. All the products I've ever created, I still sell to this day because they're all fire, because they came from personal experience.
So maybe the marketing shifted from, it was the marketing then. So the marketing shifted from.
So that's kind of brings us back into what, the original thing was. So Russell Brunson. Why did I bring up Russell Brunson? You asked me a question.
Because you met him and the 107 ways. What's the 107?
Yeah, so so when I read Russell Brunson's books, it was like all the pieces that I'd learned in the past, anything that I'd YouTube videos, podcasts, books, all these things that I couldn't get to fit together and make it work. When I read his books, it was like all the pieces finally fell into place and I saw what I needed to do. So I came up with the business plan right there. I'm going to write a free book. I'm going to give it away. I'm going to move the free line of my business. I'm going to give value and provide results up front. Then I'm going to get them on my email list. I'm going to give even more value. And then I'm going to create, and this is literally my business model, right? And then I'm going to create a membership to where I can not have to just sell you a new program and a new program and a new program. I create one membership and I give you as much value as possible to give you the result in that one membership. Right? So obviously the longer you stay, the more you get to work with me intimately and the better your results get. And so that's kind of, it's a real coaching business, unlike most businesses, which is like, I'm going to sell as much as this and gear up for this launch and only create it so I can make sales. And hopefully, regardless of if people get value or not, because I want the sales. And then I'm going to create the next thing and then the next thing and then the next thing. I said, how do I actually become a coach who's on their side, who actually wants to provide the results? So it's free book. I bring you in the door. I wow you with the results that you get. If you want to work deeper with me as your coach, you join the membership. If you want to work even deeper and get that in-person environmental exposure, you come to my boot camp. And I focus on the fucking trifecta. I don't launch new things just for the sake of launching new things. I don't promote things just for the sake of putting money in my fucking bank account. I give value and I trust it'll come back to me. And it's worked. And that's why we're gaining momentum. And so I think is that actually answered the original question? What was the original question?
Oh, where'd the number 107 come from?
So Russell Brunson has an offer he had a book that he was using.
107 funnel secrets.
It was 108 proven split test winners.
That's what it was. Yes.
108 proven split test winners. I actually have the book, but I was like, okay, Russell Brunson's whole thing is about modeling success. At the end of the day, it's modeling what is already working, model success. And that's just like with any area of your life. You want to improve your results. You find someone who has success and you model success. You model what they're doing. And even better, you get in contact with them. You get to know them. You network with them, right? And so that's the lesson here. But so I wanted to model success. 107 proven split test winners, or 108 proven split test winners. So when I wrote the book with the intention of calling it 107. I changed it from 108 because I know that 107 just sounds better. And so it's an odd number. 107 proven ways. And it was originally called 107 proven attraction power moves, because a lot of people who've been following me since way, way back in the day, one of my bonuses was attraction power moves. And I thought it was a cool bonus. I thought it was a cool name. But so I wrote the whole fucking book, the current book, with calling everything an attraction power move. But then I realized I don't want this thing to just be something that the 386 people who follow me and know about attraction power moves buy. I said, how do I make this so it speaks to more people?
Cold traffic. Never heard of you.
Cold traffic, right? And so I realized people don't know what an attraction power move is, but they know that they want to get the girl. So I changed 108 to 107. I kept proven, and I changed it to 107 proven ways to get the girl. And the manuscript was already written. I just did Control F, find attraction power move and replace with get the girl, basically, And so it worked. It's the same fucking message. And obviously it resonates with a lot of guys because I get people commenting on my shit all the time, yeah, the book is actually legit. Yeah, it's all that and a bag of chips. Patrick, you're the #1 dating coach in the world. And it's like, just because he read my book and got that good of results. So I moved the free line in my business and I modeled it from Russell Brunson,
That's sick,
providing
bro.
the results up front, you know?
I love that, man. Wow. So, dude, that's incredible. So, dude, how many people you got on the email list? How many people have the book now?
So right now, I don't want to reveal the actual number. That's not a number I want to reveal. Just because I know in online marketing, and you know just as well as I do, that people take it to be like a pissing contest. Like, oh, my list is bigger than yours. And I'll just say my list is not the biggest in the industry, but I know for a fact it's the most powerful.
Dude, I believe it. I respect, bro.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, dude. Doesn't matter how big, bro. 1,000 true fans, man.
Yeah.
1,000 true fans, 100%. So that's sick, dude. Well, dude, I'm pumped for you, dude. I think that you're going to continue to crush it because I think the biggest thing that you do with the business that I think really sets you apart from a lot of these other dating coaches is you have the give in mind first. You move the free line. You're giving results first, giving value first. And when people have that, the reciprocity bias, man, in the brain, people are naturally going to be, dude, he gave me all this value. It was like with Greg. They gave me all this value. I feel indebted to him. That's how I felt. I was like, dude, I mean, good people who are givers, they're going to want to sell your programs for you. They're going to want to recommend you. They're going to want to shout you out.
Yeah.
And I think that is such a big thing that I want to make sure I always include in any future businesses for myself as well, because that's just what I think all the greatest companies out there have.
Yeah. Like, I've seen some fucking scammy shit out there.
Dude,
and it's
especially
just
in
because
dating.
you can, especially
In dating. Bro.
I'm not going to name any names, but there's one guy who was modeling the same type of free business model, like the free line, but he was selling what I would consider snake oil because he's selling you the scent of colognes to buy, but he's selling it for a higher ticket, and then he sells you an additional program and it's just even more cents to buy. And it's like, you're telling me what cologne to buy. That's your
so low
fucking
value.
solution.
That's so low value. Yeah.
He's taker,
Bro.
you know,
Straight taker, bro.
snake oil.
Snake oil, bro. The snake oils never get anywhere, bro. They'll trick a couple people in, then guess what happens? Word of mouth.
Yeah.
The takers and the givers both get word of mouth.
Refunds, chargebacks, you
Yep.
name it.
Which word of mouth do you guys want? Do you want the giver word of mouth where you've got people saying, this guy changed my life, he's giving me so much value? Or do you want, this guy screwed me over, this guy scammed me?
Do you want to be
fucked me
given
over?
the D or you want to be taking the D, motherfuckers?
Exactly. That's how you guys got to think of it.
Yeah. I think we should end on that note.
Dude, I think we should end on that. That was mad fun, bro.
Yeah, man.
All
Good.
right, Patrick. Well, you're
Thank
the
you
man,
so
bro.
much. We got to have
Thank
you on again in the future. We're going to grow, and I want people to be coming back on. You know, those podcasts that have been around for decades. I'm talking about the one that specifically got sold for $100 million to Spotify, Joe Rogan. You notice he has people on over and over again because people, audience, you know, that cult-like following, they love to grow with you. And I know that this channel, we're starting it from scratch. I have a channel that's successful. Why am I starting a channel from scratch? Again, this is not for the money. This is for the passion. I am passionate about fucking having conversations. I'm passionate about just sitting down and creating content in a fucking a platform that doesn't have a box I have to fit into. I can make the box whatever the fuck I want to make it, and that's the shit that inspires me. And so I want you to be one of those fucking people we got to have back on. They got to grow with you too,
Dude,
seeing
let's
you
do it.
progress over time on this podcast.
Dude, I'm pumped, man. I'm freaking pumped to be back. I'm pumped to drop some more value.
It was your first podcast.
Yeah, it was my first podcast.
So when you're on more podcasts coming up soon, because you're a youngin, you're just starting in the game, you're coming into your prime, right? We're gonna look back on this and you're gonna say, my first
boy
podcast was
Patrick.
raw and relentless.
It was raw. It was real. We dropped it with the boy. Raw dating advice.
It wasn't a boring fucking podcast like every other podcast that gives personal development advice where they have to stick in this fucking box and they all sound like each other. This is raw and relentless. It's fucking personality driven. It's entertaining. We talk about whatever the fuck we want to talk
Aliens,
about.
baby.
Aliens.
UFOs.
If I want to fucking talk about aliens, I'm going to fucking do that shit because the fucking top podcast in the world, Model Success, got sold for $100 million to Spotify for only 3 or 4 years. What the fuck?
Dude, you're coming up.
Again, it's not about the money. It's about the passion.
It is, bro. And you keep this up, bro. Valuetainment, the boy Patrick Bet David, he made a prediction the next 5 to 10 years, a podcaster will get a $1 billion contract with somebody. And that could be you, bro. So I want to inspire you to stay on your passion.
Do we have time for another quick story?
Dude, quick story. Let's do it.
Okay. because I told this story on a separate podcast. I forget which channel it was on, but we literally told it in this studio. Oh, it was with Clark. Okay, maybe go check out Clark's interview because I told this story because I think this might be fucking talk about law of attraction. I talked about on Clark's podcast. I never believed in law of attraction until I started smoking weed. And I only started smoking weed because I realized I came up with more creative solutions when I smoked after I'd worked all day. And I came up with creative solutions to my business, which honestly is the foundation of what Raw Dating Advice is today. A lot of them were high ideas late at night after I've been working and my brain can't think anymore, And so, when I started smoking weed before, I was too right brain. I was too logically driven. I was too like, where's the data? Where's the proof? And I was less about trusting the process, feeling the energy, law of attraction. I thought it was very woo-woo. Clark is a very big law of attraction guy, right? And so when I told him this, it really stood out to him. And now you just connected another dot for me because you brought up what I also saw in that Valuetainment where he's like, I predict in the next 5 to 10 years, there will be a $1 billion podcast and likely be a podcast that started today. And it was kind of one of those messages, right? On Clark's podcast, you can go watch the episode after this one. Literally, I had a dream, and I don't pay attention to the lottery at all, but I had a dream as I was coming out of sleep, super vivid, that I had won $1 billion lotto. And I looked at the lottery ticket in my dream and it said Mega Millions Lotto. And I'm probably like a lot like you to where unless it has to do with our business or what we're working on, we don't pay attention to it. We kind of get tunnel vision, right? And so I wasn't paying attention to the fucking lottery. I've never looked into, I don't buy the lottery because to me, it's like, why am I going to just buy a ticket where I have almost zero chance of winning, right? And
It's a scam.
So I won specifically $1 billion because in my dream, it was so vivid. I had already processed like what it mentally felt like to have $1 billion and realized that I won it for doing nothing. And so when I woke up that morning and I vividly saw Mega Millions Lotto on the lotto ticket in my dream, I was like, how crazy would it be if I looked up Mega Millions right now and it was at $1 billion? And I don't know if you know this. You probably don't because you're a teenager. And the first time I learned it, I was your age in college. But it's very rare that the Powerball or the Mega Millions gets to $1 billion. It's always like 34 million, 100 million. The only reason it gets that high is because they haven't had a winner for that long. So that's how the money builds up. And that's why it changes. Because all the money from the lotto tickets go into that big ass pot. And so it got up to $1 billion. And I was like, the stars fucking aligned, and I have that dream on the day that it happens to become a big ass story. It's at $1 billion.
Tell me you bought a lottery ticket and you won.
I bought a lottery ticket and I'm a secret billionaire. No, I'm just kidding.
In the making.
Yeah. So I bought a lottery ticket and long story short, I didn't win. But the crazy part is I was so convinced that I was going to win. I bought the lottery ticket and I in my head, there was no doubt that I was going to win. Just like there was no doubt that when I wrote my book, it was going to take off. It was the same level of conviction because it was so vivid in my dream. And so...
Did you say you were so convinced you were going to win or you weren't?
I bought the lottery ticket and in my head, it was the winning lottery ticket.
Okay, you were so convinced it
because
was.
the drawing was in the future. And so I was like, Kate, before next Tuesday, we're going to move into this house in Las Vegas because I want to move to Las Vegas and we're going to get these security guards because... it's sometimes public information, the lottery ticket numbers winner depending on the state you live in. So I didn't know if Arizona was one of those states where they don't make it anonymous. So if it's not anonymous, now media's coming to you. Everybody's coming after you for your money, and so you got to prepare for that fucking influx of money really quick and potentially fame at the same time. Just a momentary fame because you're just the guy who won the lottery that one time, right?
Yep.
So in my head, I had already won. I didn't end up winning, but how crazy would it be if that dream was manifesting into the podcast and the podcast becomes that $1 billion fucking empire?
I'm telling you, it's possible, bro. Anything's possible. The moment I knew anything was possible was the moment I was flying back from Gregor Gallagher's mansion after I'd literally been dreaming. I declared it. I was like, you know what? I told my buddies, I'm like, I'm gonna be hanging out with Gregor Gallagher. I'm gonna meet him one day. And I freaking wrote it up. I wrote it on my vision board. I imagined it. I just kept visualizing it, and boom, it happened, bro. So I'm telling you right now, it can happen. Be consistent. Believe it can happen, bro. And have me on the podcast when you hit the billion on Spotify.
Hell
bro.
yes, on Spotify.
Wherever it is,
I'll pass that
wherever it
fucking
is.
that barrier, the barrier to entry.
You gotta let me be the number one.
Yo, I can actually hear your voice. Hopefully, we can hear you for the last 2 hours.
No, you can hear me. You can hear me.
Okay.
I was just getting real deep.
Yeah, get in there, all nice and deep. Like, all right, man.
All right, well, dude, it's been a pleasure. I gotta hop off, but
Later, guys.
you're the man, brother.
Peace out.
Peace.